Reborn in India is a Magnate. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201, Destination Mumbai. Since it is a food tour, plus there is plenty of time, of course you have to have fun, eat well, and sleep well. The journey of thousands of kilometers took half a month, and then we arrived in Mumbai, the largest city in India. Mumbai, India is the commercial and entertainment center of India, with many financial institutions and Bollywood, India's most famous film and television production base. It is also the largest city in India, the most economically developed city, and the richest city, which is equivalent to the status of Shanghai in India. However, Indian society is very abnormal and the development is extremely uneven. In the urban area of Mumbai, or near the coast, it is called a prosperous high-rise building. There are all kinds of imported goods stores. As long as you have money, you can buy it here. But once you walk out of the city center and come to the suburbs, Mumbai has the largest slum in India. The living standard in the slums is terrible. People work hard to have a full meal. Even children aged 7 or 8 have to help their parents complete some work to make the conditions at home better. As for going to school, which is a luxury that only aristocratic children can enjoy, it is rare in the slums. When Bell Singh led people into the Mumbai community, it was already past 6 o'clock in the evening and the sun had set, so there was no time to go around. Instead, he went straight to the hotel, told his name, and welcomed the owner of the hotel suite that he had booked in advance. Because the Singh family has developed well recently and has made a fortune, the funds are relatively abundant. Since they are out to play, of course they have to play well and sleep well to be energetic. Of course, Bell Singh and Lina have a clear division of labor. The man is responsible for the outside and the woman is responsible for the inside. The master suite is the best presidential suite in this 5-star hotel. There are more than 7 rooms of all sizes, and there is an open-air terrace on the top floor. The room is very luxurious, but the price is not cheap. The daily room rate is more than $100. Bell Singh does not have to worry about the presidential suite because Lina and several other women are responsible. Sina is responsible for arranging the food and accommodation of the people around him. He should be happy when he goes out to play. Besides, these people are his personal servants, the sons of the Singh family. How can he treat these loyal servants badly? So Bell arranged suites for these servants, 2 people in one suite, and the room price for that night exceeded 500 rupees. After arranging the accommodation of these servants who followed him, Bell Singh contacted the restaurant executive manager of this 5-star hotel. He customized a set of the most classic Spanish seafood dishes for making seafood, and prepared to have a big meal with his family. After everything was arranged, Bell Singh breathed a sigh of relief and returned to the room. As soon as he entered the door, he heard the little fat girl's laughter like a silver bell. Turning around the living room, he saw the little fat girl jumping and playing on the big bed in his room. The little girl was carefree and was the pistachio of the whole family. With the little fat girl, she would never feel lonely. After telling the little girl to pay attention to her safety, he returned to the master bedroom and saw Lina unpacking her luggage and hanging clothes in the closet with the help of Natasha. This is all women's work. Singh did not intervene, but took out a pack of unopened cigarettes from his bag, and then went to the open-air terrace of the presidential suite to enjoy the night view of the metropolis of Mumbai. The terrace is very large, and there is a sunshade to protect against wind and rain. There are various lounge chairs and dining tables on the terrace. Various flowers and plants are everywhere, and the air is particularly good. Sitting on the lounge chair, you can directly watch the night view of Mumbai below. The lights are brilliant. It is worthy of being a metropolis. It is beautiful. As soon as I sat down and lit a cigarette, Natalie came in with a tray. There were various fruits on the tray and a cup of freshly brewed black tea. I handed the teacup to Bell Singh, who sat on the chair next to him, and said with a smile, "The little fat girl is super excited today. You can tell that she is carefree by listening to her silver bell-like laughter. The little girl was not like this before. Time is the best medicine to heal the pain. As Belsing called Prajai the little fat girl, this name became popular, and the little girl's cheerful personality was very lovable. The little girl had suffered hardships since she was young. She had seen her brothers and sisters being sold. It was impossible to say that she had no shadow in her heart. However, with the worry-free life in the past few months, coupled with the campus life, the little girl changed a lot and gradually became cheerful. Belsina smiled and said, "Let her make trouble. Exercise more and eat more." I customized a set of seafood meal made by a Spanish chef. The little girl will definitely have a big meal at that time, but you sisters will hear him letting her stomach be full by then. Natalie just smiled and hesitated there without saying a word, as if she had something to do with him. This made Belsina feel very puzzled, and he frowned and asked Natalie, "Natalie, you still treat me as an outsider now? If you have anything to say to your husband, tell him. Don't keep it in your heart. I have your husband and I will make the decision for you. What are you afraid of?" Natalie was still hesitating. Just when Belsina felt impatient, the little girl blushed and asked in a mosquito-like voice, No, I just want to ask why my husband hasn't touched me in the past half month. Does my husband hate me? Oh my god, I thought it was a big deal." Seeing that Natalie was about to cry, Belsina stretched out a hand and held Natalie's hand. Let her sit in his arms, then hugged the little girl, gently kissed her forehead, and said in her ear with a smile, "You are so anxious to become your husband's woman. It's also my fault that I didn't explain it to you clearly. We have played and eaten all the way. Although I'm very happy, but I'm very tired. I don't want you to miss this happy trip, so I didn't touch you. Why are you waiting so anxiously? Otherwise, how about arranging it tonight?" Natalie completely put down her worries and felt very touched. Belsina, her husband, did a very good job. It is very rare to be able to consider her physical condition and endure it until now. It is the most anticipated thing for few people, to be the real woman of her husband. So she nodded shyly, just hummed, and then hugged Belsina's neck with her hands and giggled. "I feel that I'm torturing myself with my worry. Just like my husband said, if you have anything to say, why hide it? In the end, I will suffer." Natalie's figure is better than her sister Natasha. Because she is good at dancing, she has no extra fat on her body. She is especially plump where she should be plump. The feeling is so tight that Belsina can't stop. To be honest, with such a beautiful woman, I can pick her at will. It's the limit to endure more than 10 days. It seems that I have to be a groom again today. Hahaha. Chapter 202. Stealing a half day of leisure. Although Bollywood is a Hollywood film and television base in India, it is also a very profitable tourist attraction. It receives millions of tourists every year. In order to expand the influence of Bollywood, the sightseeing tours for these tourists to visit Bollywood are very appropriate. Every 20 tourists form a team and are led by professional tour guides to visit Bollywood. The first tour project is the Bollywood set. Here you can see the layout of the scenes in the movie, find some filming locations of those famous movies and take photos. There is even a tour project for playing the roles in the movie, so that those who have the dream of being a star, but cannot realize it can have a taste of it. The second tour project is to visit the filming site. This tour project of the filming site depends on your luck. If you are lucky, you can see the performance of the three kings of Bollywood. You can also find these movie stars and ask for autographs and take photos. If you are unlucky and encounter some minor actors acting in movies, then you can only admit that you are unlucky. In addition to these tour projects, Bollywood has also launched a film and television clothing mall, which is a golden chicken that lays golden eggs. The various clothes sold in the mall are the costumes of the male and female protagonists in the movie, and the jewelry worn by the beauties in the movie are also sold. In addition to these, there are also special theme restaurants, because the area of Bollywood is really not small, and people's energy and time are limited. During a day's visit, it is already very difficult to play these projects. Even if you have good physical strength, you will probably be tired and cramped. So the three beauties had a great time. Lina and the other two were lucky enough to see Amir Khan starring in a movie. Amir Khan is a handsome guy, especially those two protruding ears are particularly distinctive. Now he has just topped the list and is in the limelight. He has been offered many movies. So the three girls were so lucky to see Amir Khan in a movie, not only taking pictures, but also signing autographs. The girls were particularly lucky. After taking Amir Khan's autograph and taking photos, they hugged each other and screamed and jumped, excited. If Belsing saw it, he would be very jealous. Movie stars are more popular than their husbands. Who can stand it? It's a pity that Belsing was not with the girls. No one cared about how the girls were fooling around. As for the human mule Brook, he was just a little follower, responsible for the safety of the women. How could he stop his wife from chasing stars? So Belsing's three wives had a lot of fun in Bollywood, but Belsing, who stayed in the hotel, also felt very happy. After breakfast, he went back to the room hand in hand with Natalie, and then asked for some fruit snacks. He sat on the balcony, enjoying the visual enjoyment from a high place, drinking tea and chatting. As they chatted, things got different. There was originally a dining table between the two of them, but soon the two of them were sitting on the same recliner, holding his newlywed wife, saying sweet words, enjoying the pleasure brought by the touch. Today was particularly relaxed and happy. The two people who had just come together began to imagine their future life. Especially Belle's personality was like Natalie. She introduced in detail how beautiful the Singh family's residence, Ragavali, was. I introduced to my wife the proud history of the Singh family. Hundreds of years ago, the Singh family was a legitimate royal descendant, aristocratic with titles and fiefdoms. It was just that with the establishment of the Republic, all the titles became a thing of the past, and decades later, they have become ordinary people. But the family history is hundreds of years long, which makes ordinary Natalie feel very proud. It is the wish of every girl to marry into such a great family as a daughter-in-law, and the Singh family is an undisputed Kshatriya. In the future, when the two have children, they will also belong to the Kshatriya caste, which is naturally superior and holds secular power. Their future children can have a very high starting point and a very respected status, which is the result that every mother likes to see the most. The two just got married and have already talked about the future plans for their children. The content of the chat is a bit ahead of time, but you don't hinder the two newlyweds from planning for their future children. This is understandable. Which parent doesn't love their children? They stayed on the balcony for several hours. At 2:30 in the afternoon, their stomachs were rumbling. It was time for lunch. But the two did not want to go to the restaurant to eat with those strangers. Instead, they wanted to stay together and enjoy this warm moment. So they called the restaurant to send food up. Bursina was a typical foodie. Since he was not short of money, he would enjoy the best food. Natalie and her sister had enjoyed a high quality life for a period of time when they could remember, and they especially liked to eat Soviet food. As their family fell into poverty, they never expected such luxurious food again. But now it is different. She married a good husband and had enough money to enjoy a Russian meal. What's the big deal? In addition, this is a 5-star hotel. As long as you order food, there is no food you can't eat. So Bursina ordered a large table of Russian cuisine, including borscht and fried pork chop stew. There was also high-end Black Sea caviar. The two also ordered a bottle of vodka. Although Natalie could not drink, it was still okay to have a small drink, to taste the taste and miss the happy life of childhood. Although Belle is a carnivore, he has to admit that the mashed potatoes made by this hotel are really unique. They are very soft, sweet and not choking. He has never eaten such potatoes before. It seems to be a new product. The meal is very rich and happy. After dinner, the couple returned to the room to take a nap. They were seriously sleep deprived last night. This time, they finally calmed down and took a nap. 2 hours later, Belsinger got up and brought a blanket to Natalie, who was sleeping beside him. Then he stretched out of the room. The presidential suite has a living room, but also a small kitchen. Although it cannot make delicious food, it can still boil water and make tea. Belsinger boiled a pot of water with bottled mineral water and made a cup of black tea. He sat back on the balcony and enjoyed the warm afternoon sunshine, holding a car magazine in his hand. The purpose of this trip to Mumbai is to buy a car. You can't put the cart before the horse, so Belsinger has been collecting all the information about Mercedes-Benz's off-road vehicles these days. Finally, I chose an imported Mercedes-Benz SUV, which has a silver white body, a large 4-wheel drive, and excellent off-road performance. The most important thing is that the interior is very luxurious, with leather seats and mahogany decoration style, a sunroof, and a 360-degree surround stereo. Although the price is a bit expensive, reaching about 26 million rupees, it is not cheap, equivalent to more than 2 million RMB. Chapter 203, Magazine Car Selection. Although the price has reached more than 2 million yuan, this car is good, plus it is imported from Germany. Everyone knows that German manufacturing is the best mechanical product in the world, strong and durable. If it is well maintained, this car can be driven for 20 years without any problem. The only thing that makes Belsinger feel very troubled is that this car also has only 5 seats. Although there are only 5 people in the Singer family now, but a child is about to be born, and Belsinger has so many women who will not take any family planning measures, and there will be more and more children. So this car is good, but the space is limited, and there is not enough space, so Belsinger plans to use this Mercedes-Benz as his own car. As for family travel, it seems that you need to buy a business car to meet the needs. Fortunately, the business car made by Mercedes-Benz is also very good. I chose a business car with high-end configuration of Mercedes-Benz. The price is not much less than that of an off-road vehicle, so this Mercedes-Benz business car is also included in the purchase plan. Once this idea comes out, it is incredible. Just like a medicine lead, it involves a long series of problems behind. What are the problems? After Belsinger considers the needs of his family, he should consider the needs of his subordinates. Whether it is Mabry from the cement factory, Ivan from the asbestos tile factory, or Weir from the building materials store, they are all his important subordinates and right-hand men, and they are also important figures who make money for him. In Sinja town, they are also household names, and they are people who make money for the Singh family. They can't be treated unfairly. The general manager of any factory can earn hundreds of millions of rupees for the Singh family. You can't let these professional managers ride bicycles to work every day. This is an insult to the Bell character family. Who will work for your Bell Singh family in the future? This is too chilling for the heroes. So considering the needs of these leaders, these general manager level figures should be equipped with a special car. This will also make it convenient for them to run business everywhere. Of course, the strength and financial resources of the Singh family now allow Belsinger to carry out car allocation services in a big way. Even if a special car is assigned, it is impossible to choose a top luxury car like Mercedes-Benz. After choosing and choosing, they finally chose a luxury car like Volkswagen Santana 2000. The price is not expensive, and it is made in Germany. It is very solid and tastes good. In addition, it has various configurations in the high-end configuration, which is also the best. If it is in those developed countries in Europe and the United States, Volkswagen Santana is definitely a household sedan, not a high-end model. But in India, such a Volkswagen Santana is the top official car, and even the chairman of the state of Qatar does not enjoy better treatment than this. Isn't it enough to change a better car when you have money in the future? Now Volkswagen Santana can fully meet the requirements at this stage, and it is also economical. After choosing the car model, I began to calculate in my heart who is an important member of the Singh family and who can enjoy the special car treatment. The first person who can enjoy the special car treatment is the old butler Jamal. The old man is not young now, and he is also a meritorious minister of the whole family. It is also the support for raising this orphan. It can be said that without the old butler Jamal, there would be no Bell Singh now, let alone the glorious Singh family now. The old man can be said to have dedicated everything he has to the Singer family, including the lives of his son and daughter-in-law. If necessary, the old man would even give up his life to save the Singer family and Belsinger. Such a loyal servant is hard to find in the world. If the old man cannot enjoy the treatment of a car, who can enjoy it, and who is qualified to enjoy it? So the old butler Jamal will be the first person under the Singer family to enjoy a car. This is well deserved and no one can object, and no one dares to object. So the old butler is the first to enjoy the treatment of Santana 2000, but it is a troublesome thing that the old man can't drive. But this does not affect the treatment of car allocation. It is better if the old man can learn to drive. If he can't learn to drive, then hire a driver, and it won't cost much. In addition, only managers can enjoy the treatment of Santana, such as the manager of the Singer family's Troika brick factory. With the expansion of the Singer family's industry in the future, there will be more and more managers, and we can't set up a new project. After hiring a new general manager, I will go to Mumbai to buy a car for the manager. In that case, I'm the master, but I'm still your employee. So Bell Singh thought about it. Santana 2000 is cheap anyway. It is better to drive 2 sheep than to drive 1 sheep. If you buy more, you can bargain for the price. You can also ask for higher end configurations and some free products from the 4S store. So Bell was determined to buy a full 10 Santana 2000s as cars for his subordinates above the level of general manager of the family. Wow, 10 cars at once. Only Bell Singh, who suddenly made a fortune, would be willing to do so. Being young means being energetic. In order to show that the Singh family as a whole, Bell Singh plans to follow the example of those large foreign companies and enterprises and register the name and trademark of the Singh Group in the financial city of Mumbai. Although the idea is good, it is unknown whether anyone has counterfeited the name of the Singh family's enterprise and trademark. Singh did this just to leave mark belonging to the Singh family in the international community so that he can deal with foreigners in the future. As for India, I couldn't think so comprehensively. It seemed that I had a lot of things to do, and the amount of work to be completed was really arduous. But no matter what, buying a car is a kind of enjoyment. Spending money to buy services, so consumption is the happiest way of leisure in the world. Bell Senior admitted that he was now excited and laughed unconsciously. Suddenly, Natalie's laughter came from behind him, and then his shoulders were hugged by Natalie, and his head came close, smiling and saying, "Husband, what are you thinking of? You are so happy. It's dark. Why hasn't Sister Lina come back yet? Will there be any danger?" Bell Senior smiled and shook his head and said, "No, there will be no danger with Brooke. It's just that a few little girls are having fun and forget to go home. They will come back when they are hungry and tired. Besides, it's still early for dinner. Why are you in such a hurry? Come sit down and talk to me." The two hugged each other again, looking at the prosperous night scene downstairs, kissing each other. If Bell Senior hadn't restrained himself, he would have almost been unable to hold back. I had an open air fight with Natalie on the balcony, and time passed by unknowingly. Half an hour later, the door was opened with a click, and then there was a lively discussion and happy laughter. Looking back, it was indeed Lina who came back with 2 girls. When they came back, they were carrying a lot of bags, and it seemed that they had bought a lot of things. Although the 3 women seemed very excited, they looked quite embarrassed. There were sweat stains on the clothes and the face of Yiniu. It seemed that they came back after a brutal bloody shopping. Chapter 204, Big Car Purchase Plan. The 3 women were so embarrassed, but they were very excited. They started to chatter about their gains before putting down their handbags. After repeated urging from Bell Senior, they returned to the room to take a shower and change clothes, and then the family sat on the sofa in the living room, drinking tea, eating fruit and chatting. The 3 very excited women chattered non-stop, making people's brains hurt, but Bell Senior still kept a smile and pretended to listen. From time to time, he also interrupted and took the photos and signed notebooks taken with those movie stars from the hands of several women, looking at them and curling his lips. He felt bad in his heart. How could these cream boys be as good looking and strong as your husband? But when discussing the topic of idols with women, don't humiliate yourself and maintain a gentlemanly attitude. Is this what women like? After resting for an hour and a half, at more than 8 o'clock in the evening, Bell Senior brought his family to the restaurant for dinner. It was not until bedtime that the girls calmed down, because Natalie had just completed the transformation yesterday and was seriously injured. She couldn't fulfill her responsibilities as a wife, but her sister Natasha had recovered and could fulfill her responsibilities as a wife to her husband. This made Bell realize the benefits of having many wives. Although he was usually noisy, he made men feel a different kind of happiness at night. Because he had been resting all day, Bell Senior was very energetic and finally achieved his goal of having sex 3 times a night. Only then did he fall asleep beautifully with his newlywed wife. At 9 o'clock the next morning, everyone had breakfast. Because they were so tired yesterday, the three women chose to stay in the hotel and have a good rest for a day before going shopping. Belle Senior took Natalie, who had returned to normal, out of the hotel with Brooke and other bodyguards. Then he came to the largest Mercedes-Benz sales store in the city center and found the administrative manager of the 4S store. Accompanied by the administrative manager himself, he chose the two Mercedes-Benz SUVs and business cars that he had seen yesterday. Because they were purchased in full cash, the 4S store made a lot of money. Not only did they get insurance, but they also got license plates, and the interiors of the two cars were also discounted to the maximum limit. That afternoon, the two cars completed all the formalities and drove out of the warehouse area of the 4S store. The 4S store originally wanted to offer two drivers for Belle Senior to use, but what Belle Senior did not expect was that the bodyguards at home, including the human flesh Luo Brooke, actually raised 4 or 5 hands. These people were afraid that Belle Senior would not believe that they could drive, so they actually took out their driver's licenses, which shocked and surprised Belle Senior. He sat in the back seat of the brand new Mercedes-Benz SUV. While enjoying Natalie's massage service, he asked the human flesh mule Brooke in the driver's seat with a smile, "Stinky boy, when did you get your driver's license? When did you learn to drive? How come I didn't know? I didn't expect you to be so scheming. When did you say this?" The human flesh mule Brooke not only knew how to drive, but also drove very domineeringly, very steadily, and at a high speed, making people feel very comfortable in the car. Seeing Master Singh asking people like this in the rearview mirror, the human flesh mule Brooke felt very embarrassed. He scratched his head, turned a corner, and then said with a smile, "Master, you told everyone some time ago that you were planning to buy a car. Although our family has not had a peaceful moment during this period, we still found time to go to Udapa to learn driving skills. Not only can I drive, more than 60% of our servants can drive, but whether the skills are good or not is another matter. I have the best driving skills among them, so I'm the best choice to be your driver, ha 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 ha." Belle Senior nodded with great satisfaction, exclaimed, and said, but, you guys with the same old ideas can finally share the worries of the master. I'm very happy to have such forward-looking ideas. Now I feel relieved. After all, there is a big plan waiting to be implemented tomorrow. With so many people who can drive, we don't need to find so many drivers. Having spent more than 30 million rupees in cash today, when he heard that there was another big spend, it sounded like a fantasy to the human mule Brooke, and asked in shock, "Master, haven't you already bought the off-road vehicles you like? How can you still make a big deal? Can you tell me what kind of big deal is it that requires you to personally go out? It also requires a large number of drivers. Tell me first, let me be happy." There is nothing to keep secret, so Belle's character plans to equip the family's top leaders with Santana 2000 and told the human mule Brooke. Unexpectedly, this kid was really shocked. 10 Santana 2000s, this is not a big deal. What is a big deal? Master Singh is really kind and considerate. Working under Master Singh is the happiness of these people, and also his happiness, although he can only serve as Master Singh's driver. There is no way to enjoy the special car service, but Brooke is not jealous. Working beside Master Singh is the best job. His position as a driver was won by fists and prestige, and he doesn't want to lose it. When the two Mercedes-Benz cars parked in the parking space of the hotel's underground parking lot, less than 5 minutes later, the people left behind by the Singh family came down the elevator. When everyone saw the two silver Mercedes-Benz cars, everyone felt very excited. When had such a beautiful and expensive international brand luxury car appeared in Sinja Town? Not to mention Sinja Town, even Udapa has never seen a Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle. Unexpectedly, the Singh family bought two at once. All family members felt extremely proud. This is the embodiment of the strength of the Singh family. Since the annexation of the Kayalaxi family, the Singh family has become the well-deserved first family in Sinja Town, and it is still the recognized first family that no one disobeys. Proud and happy, they circled around the two new cars, especially several women who shouted excitedly and fiddled with them in the car. Everything they saw felt fresh. After half an hour of freshness, the family talked and laughed and returned to the room. The next morning, the three women, who had recovered their strength, started their shopping trip in the metropolis of Mumbai, escorted by the commercial vehicle driven by the human mule Brooke himself. The figures of these women were left in the main commercial street in the largest department store in Mumbai, buying large and small bags. Although the women turned into shopaholics, they still had principles. They bought some clothes and daily necessities, especially clothes, toys, bedding and daily necessities for children. They bought a lot of them. In addition, the largest proportion was the things on Belsing, followed by the things worn by these women. This reflects the formation process of the important figures of the Singh family. The first one is of course the children, the second one is Master Singh, and the third one is these housewives. Chapter 205 Preparation. There is a big difference between the 4S stores that sell Volkswagen and the 4S stores that sell Mercedes-Benz cars. After all, the two companies are not in the same weight class. Volkswagen basically chooses civilian cars, while Mercedes-Benz chooses high-end cars. The prices of the two vehicles are also very different. When I came to the 4S store of Volkswagen, I saw that the cars displayed were basically medium-price cars. The most eye-catching position is the Santana 2000 that has just been produced. Although this kind of car is the target of the terminal consumer group, it inherits the excellent tradition of German machinery and is hard-working. In addition, the price is cheap. A new Santana 2000 only costs about 3.5 million rupees, which is equivalent to about 300,000 yuan. And they are all high-end configurations. Leather seats and high-end speakers are not less. Although they are all manual transmissions, they are very practical. If they are well maintained and run for about 15 years, there will be no problem at all. It is very suitable for the configuration of official vehicles. I found the sales manager of Volkswagen, and he asked for 10 Santana 2000s. The young manager was almost scared to the point of sitting on the ground. After confirming several times, he realized that he had hit the jackpot today and met a big customer. The commission he received from the sale of 10 Santana 2000s would definitely exceed 500,000 rupees. This was a considerable windfall, and who wouldn't be happy? So Belsing and his team immediately became VIP users of Volkswagen and were invited to a separate office where they were served tea and water, as well as cakes and fruits. When the manager learned that he could pay by swiping a card in cash, he felt very honored, but he was happy. Bell's character requirements were definitely not low, because the economy of Sinja town was relatively backward, and there was no sale of Volkswagen's original imported parts. In addition, the roads were all dirt roads, full of potholes, and the vehicles were worn out very badly. If the car broke down due to the lack of spare parts, and the work of many managers could not be completed, wouldn't it delay things? So Singh made a very troublesome request when signing the contract. That was to buy all the parts of the two Santana 2000s, including the original engine, and the minimum requirements of screws and wires. In addition, the car cover, headlights, glass, etc. all need to be purchased in 2 sets. This strange requirement has never been encountered by the 4S store manager, and he is a little confused. This is equivalent to completely dismantling 2 brand new Santana 2000s and selling them in parts, but the vehicle purchased by Belsina is a big customer he has never seen since he became a manager. 10 Santanas were sold at once. If the requirements of this big customer are not met, this big deal will be ruined. Not only did it affect his income, but it also affected his rigid requirements for promotion. After coordinating with the president of Volkswagen sales in the Indian subcontinent, Belsina's rather excessive requirement was finally met, but the price of these auto parts is not cheap. All the parts are 2 sets, including 40 brand new tires and wheels, and a set of repair tools. The total value of the car purchase exceeded 40 million rupees, and the entire Volkswagen 4S store was jubilant. After swiping the card, signing and leaving the human screw Brooke to coordinate with the 4S store, another brand new van was purchased. Only then were all the spare parts, including tires, shipped in, and 10 brand new Santana 2000s were officially brought out of the garage. After the on-site running-in test, it was confirmed that there were no problems, and this big deal was completed. However, another problem was placed in front of Belsina, that is, how to drive these cars back to Sinja town. Because the manpower of the character family was really limited, there were number 13 drivers, to drive these 13 brand new cars back. In the end, the human mule Brooke had to come to the talent market in Mumbai and temporarily recruit 5 drivers. After completing this new car printing, they would receive a large sum of money. But this is a one-time deal, and there will be no long-term employment relationship, which makes those young people who are eager to earn a living squeeze their heads. Want me to participate in it? After selecting 5 good drivers, I relaxed. When the family sat in the restaurant for dinner, Lina said with a smile, "Brother Bell, after running around for 2 or 3 days, you have finally finished all the things. It's time for us to take a break. I heard that the weather will be good tomorrow. Should we go to the beach in Mumbai and enjoy the beach scenery?" Bell Singh drank half a glass of wine, wiped his mouth, and said to Lina with a smile, "How come in just 2 or 3 days, your fighting power has been exhausted? This is so disappointing. Have you bought everything you need? You should devote yourself to the beach. Only then can you have fun and enjoy yourself." Lina knew that Belsina was teasing her. She rolled her eyes and said angrily, "You are talking nonsense there. Shopping for women is also very tiring. You have basically bought everything you needed in 2 consecutive days." Then her eyes lit up, and she smiled excitedly and said, "Brother Bell, you don't know how eye-opening it is to go to a maternity and baby store. There is nothing you can't buy, only things you can't think of. For example, there are cribs and baby toys. For Ziol, there are baby clothes, diapers, and even pacifiers. For the health of our child, I made a lot of purchases. The most conservative estimate is that we don't need to go shopping to buy clothes from the birth of the child until he is 5 years old." Ha ha ha. In just 2 days, Lina and the other 2 women spent more than 10 million rupees, which is equivalent to millions of yuan. These spendthrift women are really bold in spending, but when they think that more than 60% of the funds will be divided between themselves and their children, they feel a little more balanced. As long as the children grow up healthily and happily, Bell Singh doesn't care how much money is spent. Which parent doesn't want their children to live a better life? Which parent doesn't want their children to grow up healthy and safe from birth? Buying clothes and things for children is the source of happiness for every parent. It is worth spending any money, and it is alright. So the content of the chat slowly turned to the child in Lina's belly. Everyone has been tired enough these days. It's time to relax and go to Mumbai beach for a visit. It was officially put on the agenda. In the evening, Bell Singh deliberately looked at the local weather forecast in Mumbai. The temperature was suitable and there was a breeze. It was just right for beach play, so the whole family unanimously decided to go to the beach to have a good time. To be honest, Indians are night owls, and Mumbai is an international metropolis, and the nightlife has just begun. So Bell Singh took a few women and went to the mall for a good stroll, buying some sun hats, sunscreen, blankets, swimsuits, life buoys, and other beach equipment. He also went to the daily sales area to buy a medium-sized grill, charcoal, and other equipment, and went to the supermarket to buy a lot of ingredients and various sauces and spices, planning to have a beach barbecue. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 206, Sunscreen Incident. A lot of food was prepared, but the people around Belsina were all big-bellied men, so whether they could eat was a problem. At that time, they could only go to the fishing port to buy some seafood products to supplement it, so they kept shopping until 11 o'clock, when everyone returned to the hotel. After taking a shower, Belsina ejected Natalie and asked the twin sisters to take a rest with the little fat girl. He came to Lina's room to accompany his pregnant wife, who was taking a shower at this time. Belsina did not disturb Lina, but lay on the bed in his nightgown, smoking, drinking tea and reading newspapers. When Lina came out of the shower and saw a person lying on the bed, she was so scared that she almost screamed. When she saw that it was Belsina, she patted her chest and roared in dissatisfaction. "Brother Bell, why didn't you tell me when you came? I was so scared that I almost jumped up. It's really hard for you to think of me when you have a beautiful woman in your arms." Belsina said with a smile as he put out the cigarette, but in his hand. How many wives do you have? Aren't you my first wife? I haven't been with you for several days. Why do you hate me? If you want to drive me away, then I will really leave. Ha ha ha. As soon as he sat up from the bed, Lina pushed him down again on the bed and lay on Bel's chest and said softly, I wish you could accompany me, but it's inconvenient for me to serve you. Why do you have to endure so much hardship? Belsina stroked Lee's wet hair and smiled and said, there are so many women, but you are the most important one to me. It's important to satisfy my physiology, but it's more important to satisfy the person I love. Even if I don't do anything, I'm happy to hold you to sleep. Lina felt sweet in her heart. She lay there for a long time before getting up. While urging Belsina to go to the bathroom to take a shower, she began to make the bed. Then the couple lay on the bed, snuggling with each other and talking sweet words. The topic of the chat unconsciously turned to the child. Although it is 3 months old now, in about another month, the gender of the child can be determined by the ultrasound, although it is unknown whether it is a boy or a girl. But this did not prevent the two newlyweds from imagining the names of their children, what for a boy and what for a girl. After much discussion, they still could not come up with a name that met the parents' standards. When the time came, they were not in a hurry to choose a name. The two people's voices gradually became smaller, and then they snuggled up to each other and slept through the past. This sleep was very comfortable. At 9 o'clock the next morning, they got up from the bed. After breakfast, the whole family sorted out their equipment and used a Mercedes-Benz commercial vehicle and 2 Santanas. They came to one of the most famous and cleanest beach scenic spots in the suburbs of Mumbai. After buying a ticket and entering the endless Indian Ocean, the white sand beach and the warm sun made people feel very comfortable. Because it is a tourist beach, it belongs to the business scope of the company, and there are relatively few people who can afford the tickets. So there are some people playing on the beach one after another, but there are not many people. There is no crowding. The seawater is also very clear, and the visibility reaches 7 or 8 meters. There is no garbage on the beach, except for the parasol and lounge chair. There are no other items. Under the shade of the palm trees on the beach, several lifeguards were closely watching whether the people swimming in the sea were safe. Everyone had bought tickets to come in. If a drowning incident occurred, the company would have to pay a lot of compensation. With their own number plates, they found their own 50-meter wide private beach and put all their things in place. They opened their umbrellas and went to the simple changing room on the beach to change their swimsuits. Then, Belsina, with a yellow duck lifebuoy on his chest and holding the little fat girl, laughed and rushed into the very calm and warm sea. Although Bel could swim, he was limited to swimming in calm freshwater lakes. He really didn't care about anything when he came to the sea. If they didn't put on a swimming ring, they might get into trouble or danger. In addition, they were holding a little fat girl in their hands. The two of them didn't dare to swim in the deep sea, but only played in the water within a few meters of the beach. At this time, Lina and the other 3 adult girls also changed into a decent one-piece swimsuit, and their white thighs swayed in front of them. Belsina almost had a nosebleed. India is a relatively traditional country. The body of the lady is not something that the male servants can peek into, so there is no one else within 10 meters around Belsina. The servants were just swimming and playing in a corner to ensure that their master and his wife were not in any danger. But what made Belsina very depressed was that although he had taken the bodies of the twin sisters and officially became a couple, he still couldn't tell which twin was which. But Lina and the little fat girl didn't have such troubles, which made Belsina very envious. Except for the little fat girl, the other 3 were his real wives. It was understandable that they played a little more in the sea before going. Moreover, the 3 women formed a united front to fight against the attack of the little fat girl and Belsina, and the 2 sides had a water fight. It was so fun to play. After half an hour, several people who were exhausted and panting stepped on the steaming beach, came to the lounge chair, surrounded one, and lay down to rest with a bath towel. The adults were exhausted, but the little fat girl was full of energy. She was wrapped in a bath towel and ran around with her little feet. She disappeared in a short while. Although the little fat girl was young, her IQ was not low, and she would not get lost. In addition, this was a closed tourist area and there would be no danger, so the little girl went there. The couple drank iced coconut juice while looking at the endless beach. It was such a pleasure. After drying his body, Belsina smiled evilly, holding a bucket of the top sunscreen in his hand, and came to the three wives with a smile, drooling and saying meanly, "Ladies, the sun is really poisonous today. Your white skin can't be tanned, so I, your husband, am going to apply sunscreen to you. Who will come first?" Ha 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 ha. Belsina's intention was not to drink, but Belsina was their husband, and it was very rare for him to serve women like them. Although some oil stuck, what's the big deal about letting your man get oil stuck? So the three women were very generous and let Belle apply sunscreen to them all at once. Belle almost drooled with excitement. Her skin was as smooth as a peeled egg, and her figure was as white as milk without a trace of fat. Although she was covered by a swimsuit, she was even more tempting. It would be strange for a man not to react in this situation, but the women would not let their men succeed so easily. After applying the sunscreen, the three sisters stood up and ran away with laughter, leaving Belle depressed on the beach, muttering fiercely, "I'll let you run away, but when we get back to the hotel, where else can you run to? If I catch you, I'll show you how I'll deal with you vixens." Chapter 207, Poor Dog. From then on, the little fat girl was like an addict, always looking for opportunities to stay in Belsina's arms. In addition, she was young, and her sisters didn't compete with her, so whenever someone saw Belsina free, he always held a little fat girl in his arms. The two of them talked, laughed, and kissed so naturally and harmoniously. More than an hour later, Belsina, who was lying on a recliner with the little fat girl in his arms, suddenly smelled a barbecue aroma. Turning around, he saw Lina busy at the oven with an apron, directing the male servants to do some preparations. The white dining table had been set up, and the wine had been placed in the wine glass. It was about to start dinner, and sure enough, after a while, Lina knocked the shovel in her hand by the barbecue oven, and saw everyone turned around. Then she smiled and waved, asking everyone to come to the table quickly, to enjoy the barbecue food by the sea. It was a great enjoyment to watch the waves rolling, enjoy the breeze, and eat delicious barbecue by the sea. What's more, there were several women of his own around him, and it felt great to serve him. Since most of the ingredients Belsina bought were grown on land, there were vegetables and fruits, and the most common were chicken wings, chicken legs, and mutton, but these things were a bit out of place when eaten on land by the sea. After gnawing on a piece of mutton leg, Belsina snapped his fingers. Brooke, the human mule who was standing not far away gnawing on chicken wings, quickly came behind Belsina and bent down to wait for his master's instructions. "We are at the seaside, and it always feels awkward to eat these chickens and mutton. It's not satisfying. Brooke, go to the restaurant in the scenic area. See if there are any fresh seafood for sale. If you bring some back, you must act quickly." "Understood, master. I'll go right away." Then he ran all the way. At this time, Lina shook her head and smiled bitterly and poured Belsina a glass of wine, saying with a smile, "We've already eaten half of the meal. Why bother, Brooke? If you want to eat seafood again, why don't we just eat it tonight?" Belsina said with a laugh, seeing Brooke. "He's so fat, let this kid exercise. Exercise to save him from being too fat to walk. How can he protect me in the future? Besides, I really want to eat prawns. What's the fuss about crabs?" Less than 10 minutes later, the human mule Brooke ran back with a few black plastic bags, sweating profusely. He came to Belsina and opened a bag, which contained some lively seafood, including mantis shrimp, prawns and crabs. There was even an octopus, and the most precious was a few abalones that were wriggling, and then he smiled at Belsina and said, "Master is really lucky today. Half an hour ago, the fishing boat in the seaside tourist area just came back, and all the seafood is alive and kicking, very fresh, and we'll have a treat today." After saying that, he wiped his saliva shamelessly. In addition to the chef at home, Lina can only do seafood. Others' food is not tasty, and I'm not used to it, so I looked at Lina and said with a smile, "How about it, my dear wife? Shouldn't you show off your skills? I'm not used to what others make, and it is not as delicious as what you make. Don't forget to put less salt, otherwise it will be too salty." Ha 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 ha. Hearing what Belsina, the husband, said, liking the food she makes, is the happiest thing for every woman and wife. Although it was very tiring, she took the bag with a smile and came to the oven, put the bag on the table, and let those clumsy male servants deal with these tricky seafood. The most tricky thing to deal with is actually the lively octopus. As for those seafood with shells, just put them on the oven and bake them. Then brush them with seafood sauce and eat the fat and tender shrimp meat inside. It feels great. But eating grilled seafood should be accompanied by white wine. Just when everyone was eating very happily, suddenly, a rustling sound came from the woods next to them, which alerted the bodyguards. Everyone gathered together in a circle and protected Belsina's family in the middle. After a while, a fat black puppy came out from the bushes in the woods. It was staggering. When it saw people paying attention to it, it raised its head. Its dirty little face looked very pitiful. It sat on the ground and looked at everyone curiously. Then it roared a few times, and its baby voice looked very cute. The moment the little guy appeared, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It was a seaside resort, so how could there be any ferocious beasts? That would be fatal. The little guy looked chubby. Although his body was dirty and his hair was messy, his round eyes were watery. He looked very pitiful, and he groaned. His shriveled stomach seemed to have not eaten for several days. At this time, Brooke whispered to Belsina beside him, frowning and asking, "Master, do you know the breed of this dog? How come it looks like a young lion? I've never seen such a strong puppy." If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely not recognize it, because there is no such dog in India. In fact, it is not a dog, but a mastiff. No wonder everyone didn't recognize it. What's more rare is that Belsina really recognized this black puppy and patted Brooke's shoulder with a smile. Let everyone relax, then walked up to the ground and stroked the puppy's head with his hand and smiled and raised his head to say to the curious people, "No wonder you don't know this strong puppy. It's actually not a dog, but a very brave AO dog. Its name is Tibetan Mastiff, living in the Qinghai Tibet Plateau north of the Himalayas. This little guy will be amazing when he grows up. He can fight lions and tigers." The strange thing is how this little guy appeared on the beach in Mumbai. At this time, the very kind little fat girl squatted on the ground and stroked the dirty little Tibetan Mastiff and said to Belsina with tears in her eyes, "Brother Bell, now is not to worry about why this Tibetan Mastiff you mentioned is here, but to get some food for the little guy. Look at him. His stomach is deflated from hunger, his hair is messy, and he is dirty, as if he has been malnourished for a long time." Unexpectedly, the little girl expressed what everyone should do most now. With the consent of Belsina, Human Meat Rose Brooke, with a painful look on his face, took out a half-eaten leg of lamb from his plate and gently placed it in front of the little guy. If it were placed on an ordinary dog, it would definitely pounce on it voraciously, but the little guy was very stubborn and tilted his head to look at everyone with disdain. This confused everyone. Wasn't the little guy already starving to death? Why didn't he eat the lamb? Only Belsina directed the reason. The little guy lived in such a harsh environment on the Qinghai Plateau and had already tempered a firm will. Hidden in the bones and blood, except for some yak milk products. The meat the little guy eats is raw, and of course he disdains roasted lamb. Chapter 208, Little Tibetan Master Simba. At this time, people around began to talk about it. Some said that the little guy was sick, and some said that the little guy had just been weaned. It was not yet time to eat solid food. Seeing everyone talking about it, Belsina stood up from the ground and said to everyone with a smile, "A bunch of uneducated people, what are you talking about? The little guy doesn't eat meat, nor can he eat cooked meat. It's just that he doesn't know how to use those cooked meats. Is there any left? Give the little guy a piece of raw mutton and see if he eats meat." Because there are many people in the family, Belsina prepared too many ingredients. They are all big-bellied strong men, but after eating and drinking, there are still a lot of ingredients left. Now the weather is hot, and when we take it back to the hotel, these meats will definitely go bad. Now is the time to be fresh. Brooke took the lead in using a cutting knife to stick a small piece of meat from a fresh leg of lamb, put it on the plate, and handed it to Belsina. Because the Tibetan Mastiff is a dog, the physical strength is too strong, and it can compete with wolves, tigers, and leopards, but as the saying goes, strong limbs must be simple-minded. So the brain capacity of Tibetan Mastiffs is not large. To put it simply, they are not very smart, and they need to learn various skills from their parents. After leaving their parents at a very young age, the little Tibetan Mastiff will look very stupid and very silly. In fact, this is the result of lack of experience. But the little guy only recognizes one master in his life. This is an indisputable fact. In addition to knowing how fierce this little guy is, others really can't control this little guy. So Belsina took the mutton in person and fed it to the little guy himself, which would make this little Tibetan Mastiff, who was as blank as a piece of white paper, feel good about himself. Then recognize the master, and from then on, this little guy will only listen to his orders and disdain others. In addition, they are all fellow villagers in China. As the saying goes, when fellow villagers meet, their eyes are full of tears. Although it is a fierce Tibetan Mastiff, its soul belongs to the Shenzhou continent, so it is natural to get close to each other. As Belsina said, facing the fragrant and sizzling mutton, the little Tibetan Mastiff disdained it. The little guy had a deep love for the fresh lamb meat with blood flowing in his bones. He sniffed it and ate it voraciously. He had a big appetite. A piece of lamb meat weighed half a pound. After eating it, it was like he had never eaten before. He came to Belsina's feet with a hum and licked Belsina's hand while acting coquettishly. It was very clear that he was not full. So Singer personally put the whole lamb leg in front of the little guy. What does it mean to eat voraciously? At this time, everyone knew. The little guy, whose teeth had not yet grown, tore the lamb meat without hesitation, swallowed it whole piece by piece, and ate half of the lamb leg. Then he stopped biting and hung the lamb leg in his mouth with great effort. He dragged it into the forest with difficulty. While dragging the lamb leg, he also looked at Belsina's barking. His meaning was very clear, that is, to let Belsina follow him. It seems that the little guy has encountered some trouble, so Belsina took Brooke and followed the little Tibetan Mastiff. After entering the dense palm forest and turning left and right and passing through a bush, a small rocky hill appeared in front of them. Then the little guy struggled to climb up the hillside. Because he was too young and had half a leg of lamb in his mouth, he took 3 steps back for every step he took up. But the little guy was very strong and kept trying. But how long would it take for the little guy to climb down like this to figure things out? So Belsina held the little guy in his arms. After climbing up the hillside, there was a dense jungle in front of him. There were weeds everywhere, and you could hear birds singing and some insects chirping. Because the weeds were so dense, there was no way to walk. At this time, the little guy struggled in his arms and put the little Tibetan Mastiff on the ground. The little guy held half a leg of lamb in his mouth, turned a corner, and around a stone, there appeared a road where a very small beast walked back and forth. And it was very wide. At this time, Brooke, who had a keen sense of smell, stopped Belsina outside the bushes and sniffed his nose, then said in horror, "Master, this place is not right. I smell the breath of a beast. This is on the seashore in the downtown area of Mumbai. Could there be any beast?" Belsina didn't care and made sure that the little Tibetan Mastiff would not harm him, so he smiled and said, "Look at your courage. You are not afraid of me, the master. What are you afraid of? The little guy will not harm me. Follow me. Maybe you will know the answer in a while. The road where the beast walks is very low, and there are dense bushes on the side. You can only crawl on your knees." Following the little guy, crawling for more than 10 meters, then turning a corner, crawling for more than 20 meters, and then a cave appeared. There are claw marks all around the cave. It seems that it is a dirt hole that the beast ran out of by itself, and then saw the little Tibetan Mastiff and got in. I also heard the little Tibetan Mastiff groaning. The sound was very anxious and desolate, which made Bell feel very puzzled, who was in the cave. In order to find out the situation, he poked his head in despite Brooke's obstruction. In the darkness, he could vaguely see a huge black object lying in the cave. The little Tibetan Mastiff was anxiously turning around the black object. No matter how he howled, the black object did not respond. Fortunately, I often smoke, so I brought a lighter and cigarettes. I took out the lighter and shone it inside. The guy was a strong female Tibetan Mastiff lying in the cave. There was a strong smell of blood coming from the Tibetan Mastiff's body, and the skin on its body had been torn into strips. It seemed that it had returned to its cave with serious injuries after a hard fight. What kind of beast could hurt a female Tibetan Mastiff like this? Seeing the swollen vagina of the female Tibetan Mastiff, I knew that the little guy was the only child of the seriously injured and dead female Tibetan Mastiff. What a great mother. Even though her fur was torn into strips and blood was flowing all over the ground, it was obvious how painful the bone wound was. But for the safety of her child, she still insisted on returning to her cave to feed her only child. But because the injury was too serious, she bled too much and didn't survive. It seemed that the little guy was extremely hungry, so he crawled out of his mother's cave. He went outside to find food, and when he was full, he brought back half a leg of lamb to feed his mother. But no matter how the little guy hummed and licked his mother, she was still a cold corpse, without any reaction. This scene in the cave was so miserable that even a heartless person would feel uneasy when seeing this miserable scene. Seeing that the wounds on the Tibetan Mastiff were a little smelly, and the blood lying on the ground had turned black, it seemed that it had been dead for 2 days. Because the cave was very deep, it didn't rot, and didn't attract flies. Belsina also felt awe for this strong mother, and climbed into the cave himself to drag out the body of the female Tibetan Mastiff. Then he told Brooke to go back and get 2 shovels. Half an hour later, the two of them dug a deep pit and buried the mother Tibetan Mastiff in it. Although there was no monument, it would not be eaten by other wild animals. During the whole process, the little Tibetan Mastiff stayed aside very well. When it saw the mother being buried, it howled. After walking around the mother's grave for a while, he held the little Tibetan Mastiff in his arms and said softly to comfort it, "Little guy, follow me from now on. I'm your master. My name is Simba, which means lion. When you grow up, you will be as brave and good at fighting as a lion." Chapter 209, Many Feelings. The little guy seemed to feel very happy when he heard the word Simba. He wagged his tail and licked Belsina's cheek with his big tongue. Obviously, he liked this name very much. After everything was done, Belsina held Simba in his arms, followed by Brooke, and returned little by little. When they returned to the beach, Lena and the others were taking a nap. Maybe there was a special feeling between husband and wife. Singh sat on his lounge chair, holding little Simba in his arms. Lena next to him slowly opened her eyes and smiled when she saw Belsina coming back. "You're back, so you seem to be in a heavy mood. What happened? What did the little guy do with the leg of lamb?" Belsina sighed and told Lena the whole story. Simba's mother was a strong mother. Even though she was seriously injured, she insisted on returning to her nest to feed her only cub, the little evil Simba. This was a mother's duty, but unfortunately he died of serious injuries in the end. Little Simba also became an orphan. If he hadn't met his Chinese fellow countrymen, it would have been a question whether the little guy could live to adulthood. This touched Lena, who was about to become a mother. In a few months, Lena would also become a mother. She agreed with what Simba's mother did. Although it was tragic, it was a mother's responsibility, a responsibility to nurture the next generation. If the child in her belly encountered any danger, Lena would definitely face the danger like Simba's mother. To win a chance of survival for her child, if anyone dared to threaten her child, Lena would go crazy and protect her cub like a lioness. Seeing that Belle's character was very low, Lena sighed and said with a smile, "Brother Belle, there is no need to be so sad. The mother of the little Tibetan Master Simba died for a good reason. In order to protect her cubs, no matter how much she paid, the mother was willing. All we have to do is to raise Simba well and let her mother's bloodline pass on from then on. Yes, all I can do is to raise little Simba well into a strong Tibetan Mastiff so that I can live up to the mother who sacrificed herself for Simba's survival." The beach trip was originally quite happy, but it turned out like this. The content of the two people's chat was also heard by several other girls. Everyone also sat up from the chair, held little Simba in their arms, and felt very sorry for the little guy's experience. Unexpectedly, the little puppy who had not been weaned was held by this woman and placed on her chest by that woman. The little guy's lustful look lingered between the mountains. It made the owner feel very envious and jealous, and wish that he was the little guy who enjoyed such treatment. As the temperature dropped, a wisp of dark cloud floated on the sea. It seemed that it was going to rain heavily. It was worthy of the rainy season. It rained every day and made people feel very uncomfortable. Seeing this situation, Belsina could only wave his hand to let the family pack up quickly and then took the car back to the hotel. After asking the hotel service desk, there was a relatively large pet hospital nearby. After arranging the family members, Belsina and Lina personally carried the little Tibetan master Simba to the pet hospital. One was to give the little guy a bath and deworming, and the other was to give the little guy seedlings. Now there is a pregnant woman at home, and in a few months, there will be a baby. The little guy grew up in the wild, and who knows what kind of germs and parasites he has. After taking a bath, getting rid of the worms, and getting the seedlings, the little guy jumped out of the doctor's room, looked around with a pair of triangular eyes, and then found his owner, Belsina. Then he shouted, and threw himself into Belsina's arms, refusing the so-called brand name dog food that the pet hospital sold to him. The little guy doesn't even eat roasted lamb. How could he eat those dog food? The little guy is a tough guy who eats raw meat. Fortunately, I have traveled all over the country in recent years and learned about the living habits of some Tibetan mastiffs. I know that the little guy's living habits are different from other dogs. The eating habits are even more alternative. He likes to eat dairy products made from yak milk. If he doesn't eat some yak dairy products for more than a month, the little guy will feel weak all over and even malnourished. In addition to yak dairy products, the little guy's favorite and most suitable food for him is yak meat. Only the right diet can make the little guy grow up healthily. India cannot raise yaks, so it can only go through Nepal and then cross the Himalayas. Import to China's XZ. Although yak meat is valuable, it is still a drop in the bucket for the Belsina family. Since the Singh family has chosen to raise the little guy, they will devote themselves to it wholeheartedly, and they will invest as much as they care about the cost. When returning to the hotel, Belsina called Jamal, the old housekeeper far away in Sinjar town, and asked the old man to send someone to Nepal quickly, then cross the customs and enter China's XZ to buy yak dairy products, including which one, even yogurt, butter and barley noodles. Then import the whole yak by freezing, transport it back home, put it in the cold storage, and stockpile food for the little guy. Belsina suddenly issued such a strange order, which made the old housekeeper feel very surprised. Is it worth going through so much trouble for this dog? But although Belsina's family had Lina to accompany them, and the servants at home to serve them, they always felt empty in their hearts. Seeing the little guy, a Chinese breed, he felt like he had met a fellow villager. He was satisfied, and felt very satisfied in his heart, and he was no longer so empty and lonely. Psychological comfort is more important than anything else. The two brothers stayed in the Indian subcontinent, and of course they had to think about each other. Singh felt it was worth it, no matter how much it cost. After arranging everything, Belsina took the little guy back to his room. Indians have the habit of going to bed late and getting up late, but the little Tibetan master Simba would not understand why his master was exposed to the sun. He was still sleeping soundly on the bed, and the little guy was hungry, so he hummed and crawled onto the bed. Seeing his master Belsina sleeping soundly, he stretched out his big tongue and licked his face. Belsina, who was sleeping soundly, could feel his face was wet. He opened his eyes and saw a big black head not more than 2 centimeters away from him. He rubbed his eyes and remembered that it was the little Tibetan master Simba. He yawned, turned over and sat up, lit a cigarette, covered Natalie with a quilt, looked at the little guy's triangular eyes staring at him, and asked in confusion, "Little guy, what are you doing? You don't let me sleep so early in the morning. Do you want to go to the toilet?" Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, the little guy rolled his eyes. He was so smart that he could understand what he said. This made Belsina feel very surprised. The little guy's IQ is good. It seems that the proposal to go to the toilet was rejected by the little guy, and then asked if the little guy wanted to drink water. After asking several questions, he got to the key issue of eating. Seeing the little guy happily sticking out his big tongue and nodding, he realized that the little guy was hungry. Chapter 210. It's a boy. It was a big deal that his baby was hungry. The little guy was not even a month old and his teeth had just grown. Just like his own child, the little guy was hungry, so how could he delay getting up quickly? He called the hotel restaurant and sent a thawed fresh lamb leg for the little guy to eat voraciously. If it were a normal dog's body, it would definitely not be able to withstand the stimulation of fresh meat, which would cause vomiting and diarrhea, but the little guy had no such trouble. Eating the bleeding fresh meat, he felt very happy. After eating, Belsina went to the kitchen in person and made himself a cup of black tea. While smoking, he waited for no one at home to get up and then gathered in the restaurant to eat. After dinner, Natasha and her sister took the little fat girl out shopping. Belsina took Lina to Mumbai, a private clinic opened by a very famous obstetrician and gynecologist. He made an appointment a few days in advance. When he arrived at the clinic, the famous obstetrician and gynecologist was already waiting there. The two sides chatted while walking to the clinic. The obstetrician and gynecologist invited Lina to the dressing room, changed her clothes, and then lay on the bed in the B ultrasound examination room. Standing by, when the B ultrasound machine was turned on, Belsina was so excited that he trembled all over. The picture showed his own flesh and blood. The image was clear, and the little guy's heart was beating very strongly. The obstetrician and gynecologist also explained the growth of the fetus in detail to the two young couples. It was very good, and the body was particularly strong, equivalent to the development level of other babies in 4 or 5 months. The B ultrasound machine jumped to another angle. At this time, the doctor turned back with surprise and looked at the expectant young couple and laughed and said, "Lina, this girl is really lucky. The first child is a boy. Congratulations to you and your wife. You have a first son, and he is a very healthy child with very good development. It really is a boy." Belsina thought he was hallucinating and confirmed it again and again. It is indeed a boy. At this time, Belle jumped up from the ground like a child, shouting and laughing. It took him a long time to react. He hugged the woman lying on the bed with tears streaming down her face and whispered in her ear, "Baby, did you hear that? It's a boy. Our eldest son is about to be born. Ha 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 ha. He will be the heir of the Singh family in the future, and the best gift God has given to both of us." At this time, Lina was so happy that she couldn't speak. She kept nodding her head. The female obstetrician and gynecologist in her 40s and 50s beside her had seen this scene many times. In India, it can be said that the preference for boys over girls has reached a perverted level. Raising a daughter is equivalent to raising a money-losing product. Raising a son can not only provide for the elderly and see you to the end of your life, but also make you rich. If the first child of two newlyweds is a daughter, it is possible that she will be born safely and survive. If the couple already has a daughter and they find that the 3-month pregnancy is still a daughter, they will definitely choose to have an abortion at the first time. It is really because they can't afford it. It is really hard to understand that they are so perverted, but this is the fact. The two young couples were so excited that they comforted each other for a long time before they stood up from the bed in the B ultrasound examination room. Then the doctor took the two back to the office and told the two young couples in detail what they should pay attention to in their future lives. Pregnant women should pay special attention to their diet and maintain a balanced nutrition. Then he took a tube of blood from Lina and carefully conducted a census of trace element. It was found that the trace element in Lina's body was still balanced and had reached excellent standards, so there was no need to supplement some nutrients. After all, those nutrients are artificially synthesized, and taking them is still a burden on the body. How can it be better to supplement vitamins than those vegetables and fruits that are eaten naturally? Then I got a small notebook from the doctor, which detailed the details of life during pregnancy, diet rules, etc. Then let Lina go to a hospital with better qualifications for prenatal examinations every month, so as to ensure that the fetus is normal and the mother's health and safety. Although the two young couples were very happy, they still listened to the doctor's instructions. The child is the most important thing, and it can't be sloppy. After paying the doctor a considerable fee, they happily took the car back to the hotel. After returning to the hotel, Lina entered a frantic phone call mode. The first person to inform her parents of the good news was her parents. When the two old people knew that their daughter had a boy, they would give birth to the eldest son of the Singh family in a few months. This would inherit the property in the future. And it was their grandson, which made the two old people so excited that their blood vessels almost burst. From then on, Lina's position in the Singh family would be consolidated and no one could shake it. The Singh family, which had a small population, was about to have the next generation born, which made the whole family cheer. It can be said that the child in Lina's belly carried the hopes of too many people. When several girls who were shopping returned home and learned that Sister Lina was really pregnant with a boy, these women gathered together and chatted lively, discussing what the name of the child was. At the same time, the other two older women began to look forward to what their children would look like. Now that Lina, the legitimate wife, is pregnant, it is finally clear that the child's gender is a boy, and this will be the eldest son of the character family in the future, the prince. After the child was confirmed to be a boy, the twin sisters dared to consider their own pregnancy, because Bel Singh said, when he was with them, that he would not allow other women to get pregnant without confirming the gender of the child in Lina's belly. Now that it is finally confirmed to be a boy, the other two twin girls also understand that their good days are coming. It can be said that they are very much looking forward to it. In order to celebrate the upcoming heir of the character family, Bel Singh generously took everyone to dinner that day. They walked out of the hotel and came to the best restaurant in Mumbai, booked a large private room, and everyone had a good drink together happily. Then they went to sing karaoke and tossed until more than 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they returned to the hotel tired and fell asleep. The next day, Bel Singh did not take anyone with him. He only took the human mule Brook to drive around the city, looking for his third purpose in Mumbai, which was to find business opportunities. Mumbai is the economic center of India, with prosperous business, which is quite in place. Here, as long as you have money, there is no product you can't buy. But the town of Sinjar is too remote and the economy is too backward. People's purchasing power cannot withstand the purchasing power of Mumbai slums. This is the gap between the two sides. If Bel Singh chooses to expand blindly, and the goods it brings back at a huge cost cannot be afforded by the people in the town, wouldn't that be a loss of money? Is it realistic to ask the residents of Sinjar, who cannot afford to buy computers for their children? Is it realistic to ask them to buy TVs and refrigerators when electric lights are not yet popular? Chapter 211. Small commodity retail is a trick. In the town of Sinjar, where bicycles are not yet popular, you set up a motorcycle sales outlet. Is it realistic to let those poor farmers buy expensive motorcycles? No matter what business you are doing, you should consider supply and demand. Blind expansion can only lead to failure. The first thing to consider is the purchasing power of the residents of Sinjar town. What kind of goods can they afford to buy and use? This is the only way to make money. Who would spend a huge price to buy those unnecessary things? Isn't that sick? If the residents of the town don't buy, who will you sell to? Can you afford to lose money if you put it in the store as a decoration? So expansion cannot be blind. Only by choosing the right market demand can you put yourself in an invincible position. So Bel Singh is very cautious in choosing to investigate the market. For most of the day, I wandered around the main commercial street of Mumbai and got a clear idea of it. Then I returned to the hotel to accompany my family for dinner, and then sat in the living room to drink tea, eat fruit, and tease the little Tibetan master Simba. This is the happiest time and the happiest moment. Now the attention of several women is all on the child in Lina's belly. No one will bother herself, which makes Bel Singh happy. The next day, he took Brook to the market of Mumbai again, starting from the city center, and went all the way to the suburbs. He came to the slums. Although they are called slums, the slums of Mumbai are considered to be very poor and backward places by the elites of Mumbai. They are chaotic, full of garbage, and poor people. However, the residents living in the slums of Mumbai are beggars in the eyes of urban people, but in the eyes of Bel Singh, these people are richer than the residents of Sinjar town where he lives. At least the slums can afford electricity. At least in these slums, 60% of the families have TVs and radios. Who are the civilians? Who are the beggars? Isn't it ironic that these poor people living in the slums of big cities are richer than those living in rural towns and live well? This is an indisputable fact. After all, Mumbai is a financial center, and the beggars here are richer than the rich people in the countryside. While wandering around the slums, Bel Singh discovered a very interesting phenomenon, because there are many shops in the slums, and most of the goods sold in these shops are small department stores, or small shops such as grocery stores. Although these stores are very small, their business conditions are very hot. The small commodities sold in small shops are not expensive, and they also sell daily department stores. The price of a plastic basin reaches 60 rupees, which is equivalent to 5 yuan in RMB. And it is also sturdy and durable. The price of a plastic comb reaches 30 rupees, which is equivalent to more than 2 yuan. The price of a small mirror reaches 100 rupees, which is equivalent to 10 yuan in RMB. It is 1/3 cheaper than the price in Sinja town. This is the benefit of small profits but quick turnover. Although the profit is small, the number of goods sold is large, and the profit is not small in a day. After inquiring, these small commodities actually come from Yiwu, China's small commodity city. These shops selling small commodities are already the fourth takeover. In the lowest retail area, they earn the least. The upstream of these small commodity stores is wholesalers. In a wholesale market in the suburbs of Mumbai, the shops that wholesale these small commodities belong to the third-hand operators, and there is a second-hand dealer above them. These second-hand dealers are all businessmen with outstanding abilities. Because they have strong capital, they will go to Yiwu, the Huangsha small commodity city, to purchase goods. Moreover, large-scale purchases and large-scale transactions make the most money. As for Huangsha small commodity city, Yiwu operators are the first-hand suppliers. After 3 or 4 times of reselling, they are sold to consumers. Every time the reselling operator makes a lot of profit. But I didn't expect that it would be sold to consumers, only when it was the fourth hand. But the fourth hand operator made a lot of money. You can imagine how huge the profit of selling these small commodities is. There are quite a few of these small commodity stores, and the small commodities inside are dazzling, with everything, almost covering all the daily necessities of the entire home life. From pots, pans, bicycles, to sandals, toy rubber covers, everything is available and there are quite a few varieties. The shops are very popular, with people coming and going, which makes Belsina feel very envious. Sinja town is too remote, too backward. Most of the items sold in the shops are made in India. Not only are they expensive, but the quality is also not up to standard. Even the pots and pans used by ordinary residents are mostly made of pottery. Not only are they heavy, but they are also very fragile and have a very high damage rate. It would be great if they were all replaced with plastic or porcelain. Although these small commodities do not make much money, they are small profits but quick turnover. The more they sell, the greater the profit will be. In addition, they have sufficient financial support and will not buy the products shipped back by the second-hand dealers. They will choose the first supplier, that is, the merchants in Yiwu, Huangsha small commodities, to buy. Although it will take a lot of effort to use it back, the profit is scary. For example, a small mirror sold for more than 100 rupees. Every girl wants to have one. Which woman does not love beauty? The price reached more than 100 rupees, which is equivalent to about 10 yuan. Within 40 minutes of my observation, more than 15 small mirrors were sold, and I know that the price of such small mirrors in Yiwu, China is only 2.5 yuan. It is equivalent to about 30 rupees, and the profit is more than 3 times the price. If 50 small mirrors are sold in a day, how much money will be earned? You can calculate it, isn't it very considerable? This is just the profit margin of a small commodity. Even a small shop of 10 square meters will have thousands of commodities. With its strong financial resources, it is entirely possible to expand the variety of products sold in this store by more than 10 times. If this plan is really implemented, it will be the most popular and most profitable store in the entire town of Sinja. According to Belsina's preliminary statistics, the daily turnover of such a store will reach hundreds of thousands of rupees, and the net income should also reach about 200,000 rupees. This is equivalent to 80,000 to 90,000 yuan in RMB. So everyone will ask, can the profit be so high? Can the sales situation be so good? The population around Sinja town has reached millions, and those in the mountains, who are not included in the official statistics, also exceed 1.5 million. With so many residents, it should not be a problem to make a profit of 80,000 to 90,000 yuan a day. And there are no competitors. This is a monopoly operation, and the future is very bright. Belsina, who has made up his mind and is planning to do some business, is very relaxed and wanders around the major markets in the slums. Unexpectedly, the markets in the slums are centrally managed. The meat sellers, vegetable sellers, fruit sellers, and spice sellers are concentrated together to form a fixed large market, which makes Belsinga feel bright again. Chapter 212, Farmers Market. Although it is a slum in Mumbai, there are many large farmers markets outside the slum. These farmers markets are managed intensively, and each stall has a fixed place to sell various agricultural products. Although Belsinga is a master, he does not have to worry about these trivial matters of buying vegetables and rice. He has never visited the farmer's market to buy those ingredients. It seems that he is not worldly, but Belsinga knows what price his own agricultural products can be sold in Sinja town. Besides, there is Brooke, a human mule, next to him. What is there to not understand? Just ask Brooke. After walking around the farmer's market and asking about the prices of vegetables, fruits and meat, they are generally 1/3 higher than those in Sinja town. This means that the cost of living for these civilians living in the slums of Mumbai, India is 1/3 higher than that in the countryside. Living expenses are 1/3 more, and you spend more when you earn more. Although the farmer's market is only a few thousand square meters and has more than 100 stalls, but the crowds of people coming and going never stopped. In just 20 minutes, the pepper stall that Bell observed carefully replenished the supply 3 times and sold all 3 sacks of peppers. It seems that the business is quite hot. Everyone will definitely ask. Belsinga observed in this smelly farmer's market. Did he want to sell vegetables? No, Belsinga's ambition would not be satisfied so easily. So what is the purpose of standing in the market to observe? That is because he observes the people who come to the farmer's market to buy vegetables. It is also to observe the income of these vegetable vendors. How much vegetables does each person buy? How is this farmer's market operated? How are the stalls managed? What Belsinga is thinking in his mind is whether he can implant the concept of this farmer's market into the chaotic markets in Sinja town. Intensively manage those scattered vendors to form a farmer's market, and then develop this farmer's market by himself and rent these stalls to these vegetable vendors. Then he will be responsible for management and collect the fees for renting and selling stalls, so that no matter whether the other party makes money or loses money, no matter how the stalls are run, it will not affect the income from renting and selling stalls. Even if the income of a stall is set at 50 rupees a day, how much will be earned from 100 stalls or 1000 stalls a day? If a farmer's market is properly maintained, it can last for 20 years. Excluding the cost of building a farmer's market, even if there are 100 stalls, the income of 5000 rupees a day is equivalent to 500 yuan. This is already a lot. This is still the smallest farmer's market, and the income is a stall fee. What if it is a large farmer's market with 1000 stalls? How much should it earn? With an income of 5000 yuan a day, what can you buy asterisk? That is guaranteed to be profitable regardless of drought or flood. It is more profitable than this. If the farmer's market is old and renovated, or if the town of Sinja is developed with the help of the federal government, then the farmer's market in the city center is your own private territory. Not only is the land valuable, but the stalls in the farmer's market are more valuable. With more residents, more people will buy vegetables, meat and fruits. Business will be easier to do, and your income will increase linearly. Although this farmer's market does not make much money every day, the long-term benefits are not small. If you control the entire town of Sinja and more than 80% of the commercial activities, then you will become the well-deserved underground king of Sinja. Not to mention the mayor, even the chairman of the federal government will have to bow his head when he sees you. So Belsinga was very concerned about this farmer's market and stayed there until after 7 o'clock in the evening. Then he returned to the hotel to rest with unsatisfied intentions. Then someone would ask, Belsinga has so many assets and such a high status, why doesn't he cooperate with big companies such as the Tata Group to do big business and make big money? Why consider small grasshoppers like department stores and farmers markets? That's because Belsinga's head has not been flooded, and he has not gone crazy and blindly arrogant. Belsinga knows where his advantages are and where his foundation is. It is true that Belsinga is rich and has very strong assets, but all the land of the Belsinga family is in Sinja town, and their own mines are also in Sinja town. All his roots and relationships are in Sinja town. He is a well-deserved local emperor in Sinja town. He is free and unfettered and can do whatever he wants. If he leaves Sinja Town, he is just a rich upper caste. How can he enjoy those privileges? Besides, Sinja Town is located in Rajasthan and is very backward and poor. If Belsing cooperates with those big companies, for example, if a car manufacturing company is opened, the traffic conditions are bad, and the workers' cultural level is not up to the standard, won't it be himself who loses money? Have you ever seen a car manufacturer opened in a mountain valley? For example, even if you open a store, you should open an electrical appliance mall to sell TVs and refrigerators, or sell cars and motorcycles. The profit is very high. But everyone should consider the purchasing power of the residents of Sinja Town, and whether they can afford such a large proportion of consumption. If the residents have no money, you open an electrical appliance mall, and who will you sell the 4S store that sells cars to? Then are you waiting to lose money? Don't look at selling such small commodities. A bundle of rubber cases makes $1, a comb and a small mirror makes $2, and it feels like the money earned is not much. In fact, if you sell more with small profits, the accumulated income is still very considerable, and it is also very suitable for the consumption level of Sinja Town. It is necessary to consider the balance between supply and demand, the relationship between consumption capacity, and whether you can afford the loss of failure in expanding the business. Taking into account various comprehensive factors, it is not realistic to cooperate with those big companies now. It is not realistic to sell those high-end and atmospheric goods. Food and clothing have not been solved yet, and you think of cars and TVs. Is that possible? That's why Bell's personality will shift his goals to the retail industry, to Yahoo small commodities, and to the farmer's market. Collect stall fees, and develop step by step. If you take too big a step, you will easily get into trouble. Now everyone understands why Belsinger considers the development direction so differently. The conditions are there, and he has to consider so much. Belsinger also wants to get rich and enjoy a good life, but everything has to be done step by step. After wandering around Mumbai for more than 5 days, and figuring out everything, Belsing drove back slowly with his family. The other 10 Santana 2000s had already arrived in Sinja Town. They were very relaxed and happy when they came out, and they were eager to go home when they returned, as they had been away from home for a long time. Belsing was a little homesick, not to mention that Lina, who was pregnant, missed her parents and relatives even more. But there were only women and pregnant women in the car. Driving too fast would cause some negative effects such as fatigue on them, so they needed to slow down. So the car was not driving fast, but not slow either. 5 days later, it returned to the Raja Valley and was welcomed by all the villagers. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 213, Gathering Funds for Big Moves. With so many welcoming people, Belsing did not feel any unexpected emotions. The entire Singh family has become a powder keg for Lina's pregnancy and the confirmation that there is a boy in her belly. After getting the news from little Jamal, the old Jamal housekeeper secretly cried several times in the prayer room dedicated to God. The old man was so happy that the Singh family got the inheritance and continued the incense and increased the population, which was the ultimate wish of the old man. The old man was so happy that he jumped up and down and lost his mind. The villagers of Laga were even more excited. The reason was that the Singh family had an heir. The happy life of these people was guaranteed and continued. This is why the children of those big men are so important. The continuity of the inheritance is ensured. How can everyone not be happy? Singing and dancing to welcome Mrs. Lina when seeing 3 other beautiful ladies get out of the car. Everyone seemed happier. Of course, more women will give birth to more children. There is no fear that the Singh family will collapse if there is any accident like the seedlings of 1,000 miles away. After greeting the villagers, he returned to his own castle. He could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The twin sisters Natasha and the little fat girl returned to their home for the first time. They were very excited. The maids took them around to visit. The old housekeeper Jamal who was sitting on the sofa, saw the other 3 young, beautiful, and healthy ladies, and gave Belsina a thumbs up and said admiringly, "Master, you have good eyes. The other women are healthy and very beautiful. Your children will be even better." If the master and his wife knew that you are so mature, they would definitely be happy. Belsina was no longer surprised by the old housekeeper's sentimentality. He just smiled and said nothing. The quality of finding a woman is related to the quality of a man, so of course you can't be careless. The person who should be thanked should actually be Lina. Lina has a good eye and found so many beautiful wives for herself. Although very tired, Belsina seemed to have a fire in his heart. Some time ago, I destroyed the high-caste family and got the land. I got the production method of red pepper and got a very stable income of millions of dollars. The road in my home has been built, and the cement factory, brick factory and asbestos tile factory are all running at full capacity, and the sales are hot. The expansion of the building materials store has been completed, and it has expanded more than twice, which meets the needs of the building materials store at this stage. I have a harmonious relationship with the leaders of the town, and my allies have been consolidated. Although it is the rainy season now, and large-scale construction cannot be carried out, it is still necessary to make advanced preparations and budgets. Now the industries of the Singh family have entered a peaceful and stable development. When the dry season comes, my big work should be carried out. In this way, continuous development can be achieved. The family is like a boat sailing on the water. If you don't advance, you will retreat. It's not time to be satisfied yet. It's not time to lie on the credit book for retirement. If I, the head of the family, don't forge ahead and seize this golden development opportunity to vigorously develop the industry, will I leave the trouble to my son? So Belsing said with a smile, patting the old housekeeper's thigh with a cigarette butt in his hand. I have something else to discuss with the old housekeeper. Let's go to the study to discuss it in detail. These women are chattering too noisy. Then he said hello to Lina and took the old housekeeper back to the study. As soon as he sat down, the maid brought tea. After closing the door, Belsina frowned and asked the old housekeeper, "Nothing happened during the time I was away from home, right? Are there any remnants of the high-caste family causing trouble for our family?" The old housekeeper knew what Bel was concerned about. He sneered. "Master, you were not at home, and I was not idle during this period. I cleaned up a lot of garbage. Please rest assured that no one can disturb your peaceful life anymore." Belsina nodded and said with a smile, "That's good. This time I went to Mumbai and it really opened my eyes. It is worthy of being the financial center of our country. It is so prosperous. In addition to playing and checking Lina's health, I also got a lot of inspiration. This is a good thing. The old man is not idle at home. The family is thriving. This is what the old housekeeper likes to see most. It's not the case that I'm immersed in love all day. Now it seems that the Singh family is very prosperous, but the foundation is too thin. The real working capital that can be shown is definitely not more than 1 billion rupees. This is not the quality that a top wealthy family should have. If you don't advance, you will retreat. The best news is that the master is not idle." Seeing Belsing said so seriously that he had a revelation, it proved that the master must not ask him about those irrelevant topics, and asked seriously, "Master, just tell me what you want. I know all the situations in our family and will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. The old man is safe and sound." Belsing asked with a laugh. "I plan to increase the industry of our Singh family, completely control the entire town of Singha, and become a real emperor hidden in the dark. Only by completely mastering our foundation can we be invincible, and no one can touch the Singh family." Sure enough, there was a big move. The old butler was trembling with excitement, and his eyes were shining. Watching his master imagining the future of the family, Belsina became more and more excited. After lighting a cigarette, he asked, "Old housekeeper, all the income of the Josh family has been digested. You know the family's current situation best. How much working capital can be withdrawn?" The old housekeeper calculated in his heart and then said seriously, "Master, the amount of working capital in our family is not much, not little. If we grit our teeth, we can get 1 billion rupees. This is equivalent to more than 100 million yuan, which is enough to carry out his own plan. Then he smiled and said, "It's enough, it's enough, it's enough. It doesn't take that much money. My plan is this. Can you help me with the feasibility?" Then he introduced his plan in detail to the old housekeeper. Belsina has a big move this time. He plans to take down all the shops on the central commercial cross street in the middle of the town, and then buy a piece of land in the suburbs of Sinja town, demolish it and build a large farmer's market. Each stall is fixed, and all small vendors are gathered in this farmer's market to operate, and they collect management fees and stall fees. In this way, a commercial street opened by the Singh family can be formed in the center of the town to sell retail goods, and there is also a large farmer's market in the suburbs. Almost all materials related to life can be purchased in the store market opened by the Singh family, with a population of more than 1.5 million. The daily consumption is amazing, and the funds earned every day are huge. They are all small agricultural products, but the profits are very considerable. Chapter 214. The housekeeper's appetite is bigger than mine. The old butler did not expect that his master had such a big appetite that he actually wanted to plan all the commercial activities in the entire town of Sinja in his own hands. It was a big deal. It was really a big deal. But this plan was very grand, but it was very troublesome to implement. The old butler acted very cautiously and considered things very comprehensively, frowning and said, "Master, your plan is very perfect, but there are many troubles to implement it. The first thing to do is to deal with all the government leaders in Sinja town. As long as the government comes forward to help, it will be much easier to acquire these shops and land." Belsina nodded with sincere relief and said, "Old butler, you are right. Let's deal with the top from top to bottom first. So I plan to take a few days off and then invite the mayor and the police chief to their homes to discuss the details of the action. If these vampires are not fed, they will not give them the green light. No matter where you develop, sharing the benefits is the most important thing. Without these umbrellas to bear the pressure from above, how can I do whatever I want?" The old butler agreed with Belsina's idea and nodded. "Okay, sir, you call and invite the two leaders to your home. I will take care of the rest. We will treat these two partners well." At this time, the old butler asked with a frown while smoking. Belsina said, "Master, I just heard you introduce that Yiwu in China has developed very well. Many of the world's best-selling small commodities are produced and sold there." Belsina smiled and nodded and said, "Yes, even those small commodities in Mumbai are imported from China. The market sales are so hot. In a few years, Yiwu in China will definitely become the world's small commodity center." At this time, the old butler frowned and said, "I also heard about Yiwu when I was in China, but sir, although the price of importing these small commodities is not so expensive, the profit is also very considerable. But no matter what, we are also second-hand dealers. That is, we trade these small commodities back and forth. Why can't our Singh family produce these small commodities and build an Indian version of Yiwu ourselves?" Oh my god, Singh's jaw almost dropped in shock. Could it be that the old butler's appetite is bigger than his? I just wanted to import small commodities to sell in Yiwu, but the old housekeeper actually wanted to build Sinja town into another Indian version of Yiwu. Produce small commodities by yourself and sell them by yourself. Wouldn't the profit be greater in that way? And there are physical enterprises that produce small commodities, all of which are under my control, so I can have the right to set prices. Otherwise, you small commodity buyers will import from Yiwu, China, or you will have to buy small commodities made in India from me at a high price. This is a monopoly operation with huge profits. In addition, the manufacturers of these small commodities are under my control. The whole Sinja is my own worker, and the town of Sinja is my own factory. This control is even more powerful than my own idea. At that time, I will really become the emperor of the entire town of Sinja. The old housekeeper's idea is really too huge and too grand. If it is really implemented in this way, I will become one of the top rich people in India. In addition, the workers of the enterprises I control will be unimaginable. In that case, who in India can touch me? It's really amazing. Belsina wanted to applaud the old butler for his big appetite, but he didn't expect that the old man was more ambitious than himself. The old man's instructions put forward an idea, but a plan was formed in Belsina's mind, and he said to the old butler in surprise, "Butler, I have to apologize to you. My appetite was too small just now, and my knowledge was shallow. I didn't think of the deeper meaning. Yes, you are right. Our family has money, people and such a large land. Why can't it develop into an Indian version of Yewu? If Sinja Town is really developed into an Indian version of Yewu, in that case, who can shake the foundation of our family? Who dares to shake it? Who dares to touch a hair of our character family? It's great, but although the implementation of this plan is grand, it will be troublesome to implement it. Of course it is troublesome. How can you do business without trouble? This kind of trouble is divided into two aspects. One is the hard trouble, the hard condition trouble, which is very difficult to make up for. That is, the education level of Indian civilians is much lower than that of China, and 95% of the people are illiterate. You ask them to operate machinery, let them work in factories, and do some delicate work. Will they know how to do it? How much does it cost to teach these wooden heads to work? How much time? The first soft trouble is that there is not enough money. Don't look at the wealth of hundreds of millions of RMB in your hands. But to build several factories, recruit workers to produce products, and then sell them out, the whole process is not free of money. Even if each factory forms a small workshop style business model, there are 10 machines and 20 or so workers. To maintain the normal operation of this small workshop, the investment will definitely exceed millions of RMB. Only with sufficient funds can a big plan be presented. Hundreds of millions of RMB seem to be a lot, but the factories built are popping up like mushrooms after rain. This money is not enough, so Belsina feels very headache. The plan is big and the goal is long term. The prospects are bright, but the risks are too high, and it is easy to take big steps and pull eggs. Belsina frowned, feeling a headache. The old housekeeper had painted a very beautiful picture for him. But the investment was too big, the risk was too high, and giving up seemed like a shame. Who wouldn't be tempted by the Indian version of Yewu? But his own strength had not reached the earth-shaking standard, and it was time to show the old housekeeper's ability. The old man looked at his master frowning, with a headache and a sad face, and laughed. After attracting the master's attention, he persuaded him. Master, don't you have too many ideas? It took Yewu in China many years to develop. Why are you in such a hurry? Take your time. I will provide you with a development direction, and you will definitely feel that it is easy to get. Oh, I didn't expect the old housekeeper to have a sharp eye and see what was bothering him, and asked with a smile. Then tell me where I should start to solve the current predicament? The old man took a puff of his cigarette and laughed proudly. If our Singer family wants to develop Sinja Town into a Chinese mission, the first step needs to be taken steadily. Only after gaining a firm foothold can we expand other businesses, and the beginning is very important. There is a factory that can fully meet our current needs, and that is the plastic factory. We can produce plastic basins and bowls, plastic cloth, and plastic combs. We can produce and sell plastic products. The coverage is so wide, and how many kinds of goods can be produced, and how many small commodities are made of plastic. Just think about it. Chapter 215. Just do it. Think about it. What are you thinking about? There is no need to think about it at all. Whether it is work or work, plastic accounts for 50% of all the items around us. If you don't believe it, you can look for it in your office or home here to see how much plastic products account for. Moreover, plastic products are very strong and durable, and they are not afraid of bumps and bumps. As long as you don't throw plastic products into the fire, they can be used for 20 years. The biggest advantage is that they are strong and light. The old housekeeper is worthy of being an old fox. He threw out an idea and immediately fell into a crazy state. If you open an industrial park specializing in the production of plastic products, you can completely dominate the entire southwest market of India. Then expand inland and operate well for a few years. Your own plastic products can completely dominate a certain share of the entire Indian market. Even if it accounts for 5%, it is an astronomical figure. Awesome. It's really amazing. The old housekeeper rejected all the 2 development directions he investigated in Mumbai with one sentence. Compared with plastic product companies, farmers markets and small commodity retail are simply a small flyer level business, and even a mouse can't be considered to have any meat. Belsing was excited. This is a very good project with a very broad prospect. While India's social economy has not yet developed rapidly, we should seize the market and create our own brand. The power of brand effect is immeasurable. This is a goose that lays golden eggs with a daily turnover of hundreds of millions. If this plastic products company is really going to go into production, will I still care about money? Will I still care about not having money to do business? Developing Sinjatown into the Indian version of Yewu is too ambitious. It is worthy of my butler to have foresight. With a far-sighted vision, what else can I be afraid of with the old man assisting me? What else can the Singh family be afraid of? Bel Singh was very excited, like a nail growing on his buttocks. He swayed left and right in his chair and said excitedly with great anxiety, "Is it feasible? According to the current strength of our family, can we eat this big cake?" Faced with huge profits, Bel Singh felt a little scared. To put it bluntly, Bel Singh is a rich farmer. Building the Indian version of Yewu made Bel Singh feel a little overwhelmed. Can he have such a big appetite to eat this piece of cake? The old butler understood very well, but he did not agree with Bel Singh's cowardly character. Where did Bel Singh's fearless character go? Where did Bel Singh go when he was able to develop his family business and face all challenges calmly? So the old housekeeper said with dissatisfaction, "Master, how come your fearless character was completely abandoned after a trip to Mumbai? Our family originally had only a little money, but you were able to set up a cement plant and an asbestos-style plant. Facing such a fierce attack from the Kayalaxi family, you can handle it with ease, and brought our family from a landowner to an industrial family like today. Where did all your courage go? It's no big deal to throw all our family's funds into it in time. Don't we still have the land? You can't starve us to death." The old housekeeper said that, even if we lose everything, there is still land to support us. With a mining area of 500 square kilometers, even if we are poor, we can live a stable and happy life. This is 500 square kilometers. What is there to be afraid of? This piece of land is my most solid backing. The various mineral agricultural products and trees produced in this land are the guarantee of my future life. As the saying goes, the bold will die of overeating, and the timid will die of starvation. If you don't take advantage of the current market gap to occupy the market, you will miss this village, but you will lose this shop. Those famous rich people in the world, which one is not farsighted and the first to eat tomatoes? What great things can I accomplish if I'm afraid of wolves and tigers? I'm only worthy of being a small local rich man. I don't believe that a plastic products company can stump me. If it can stump me, a Chinese elite, isn't it the Indian version of Yewu? I will fight to the end with this title. If I don't turn Sinjatown into the Indian version of Yewu, I will live in vain. Bel Singh made up his mind, laughed and slapped the table and stood up, walked back and forth twice, and then calmed his irritable mood, and said with a smile, "Old housekeeper, your suggestion is so good. You also scolded me to wake me up. Yes, what is there to be afraid of? I will starve to death. I will run the plastic products factory." Taking advantage of the fact that Indian society is in a period of rapid development, it is more important to seize the blank market than any other. It is more offensive than any other business strategy. Now is the golden period of development. If we don't develop, it will be like sailing against the current. If we don't advance, we will retreat. By then, our family will be left behind by others and eat dust. The old man smiled and lit a cigarette. He felt very gratified when he saw the high-spirited young master. This is the spirit that the head of the Singh family should have. Damn it, let's fight to the end. My plastic products factory. The master and servant discussed in the study for 3 hours and were called to the restaurant for lunch. After a beautiful meal and a glass of Chinese liquor, he felt refreshed and then called all the formal members of the family for a meeting. At the meeting, Bel Singh also elaborated in detail on the significance of the plastic products factory to the family. The Singh family, which had just been quiet for less than a month, began to move forward at full speed again. This time, the game was bigger, and the amount of money invested was unimaginable. Almost all the cash that the entire Singh family could squeeze out was invested in it. If it didn't succeed, it would be a death. This was an opportunity to bet on the fate of the entire family. If the bet was won, the Singh family would be prosperous in the future. If the bet was lost, the other members of the Singh family and the branch would be acquired by others. With the remaining money, Singh could only live in the Laga Valley with his family and act as a landowner. He would not starve to death, but it would be difficult to develop again. A battle that bet on fate could not be sloppy. If there was a slight deviation, the Singh family would fall into a bottomless abyss. The master and the old butler personally took the field and gave speeches in turn, finally letting the core members of the family know how difficult this tough battle would be. It was a matter of life and death. If anyone dared to drag his feet, or if anyone dared to trip him up and slack off, Singh would not let him go. The old housekeeper might even use him as an example to others, but who would dare to do that? So the core members of the Singh family swore to their master, vowing to devote themselves to the family and complete the tasks assigned to them. The old housekeeper and Singh were very satisfied and called a meeting to discuss all the details of setting up a plastic products company. Chapter 216, Market Survey. Although India is now in its golden period of development, business is very good. Various companies have sprung up like mushrooms after rain, especially large groups such as the Tata Group, which have become one of the strongest in the world. However, India's infrastructure construction is very weak, and the level of development is very low. The big cities are the ones that have developed well. Remote villages are still self-sufficient, and agriculture is still the pillar industry, which means that 90% of India's population are farmers. Since he chose to go all out, Belsingh would not choose to retreat, no matter if there are thorns or stealing waves ahead. He would bite the bullet and push forward, because Belsingh knew that there was no way out, and retreating would only lead to an endless abyss. Not only Belsingh understood what was going on, but the entire family's official members also knew that this was a battle of life and death. No one would choose to hold the family back at this critical moment. No matter how big, macro, or scary the idea was, the fate of the entire family could not be taken for granted. The meal had to be eaten bite by bite, and it had to be done one by one. So Belsingh arranged the first task of summoning family members. More than half of the family members who could be mobilized were sent to cities around Rajasthan, India, to investigate whether there were any competitors. If there were other plastic products factories, what was their scale? How much capital could they have to compete with the Singh family? The other half began to investigate the market and see where all the plastic products on the market, regardless of size, were imported from, then trace the source. If there was anything, they would contact by phone. This kind of thing could not be done by a stupid person. Then the old housekeeper made another supplement, and each person was given 50,000 rupees of action funds. When would the money run out? When would it come back? 50,000 rupees was not too much, but not too little, and it could cover the entire Rajasthan. That afternoon, after receiving the task, everyone began to pack their luggage, and then sent these people to the town by Mercedes-Benz commercial vehicle. They got on the long distance bus and began to scatter, completing the tasks assigned to them by Belsingh. After these people went out, they called Jamal Jr. to the study. Jamal Jr. also received his own task, and the task was very heavy, which was related to the preparation and establishment of the plastic products company. That is to get a passport. First go to Huakshayawu small commodity city to investigate the market and see how local factories produce plastic products. What kind of varieties are there? What kind of machines are there? What kind of manual management is there? No matter how big or small, all the information that can help should be collected. Even the old Jamal housekeeper, at such an old age, took the initiative to take important responsibilities. Go abroad to investigate the price of plastic product production machines and the advanced level of machinery. Anyway, all the people in the family who can move have gone out. After arranging all the things, Bell's personality breathed a sigh of relief and rested at home for a day. Then he welcomed the arrival of his father-in-law and mother-in-law. He heard that after Lina became pregnant, his father-in-law and mother-in-law often called to inquire about the situation. This child is the future heir of the Singh family and also has the blood of the Shah family. It can be said that he has a respected status. In addition, Lina is young and the Singh family has no female elders to help protect the fetus. The old couple is very worried. Anyway, the Singh family is not bad. The old couple eats this bite. When they come to the Singh family, they will live and accompany Lina, so that the little girl can rest assured to take care of the fetus. The arrival of the father-in-law and mother-in-law at his home caused a commotion. The father-in-law did not feel anything special about the other women. He just smiled and patted Belsina on the shoulder, praising his son-in-law for his unique vision in choosing women. But the mother-in-law did not think so. What were these women doing? The old lady knew clearly that they were potential rivals for her daughter's favor. How could she give a good face to the girls? The family was very nervous, but with Lina, the virtuous daughter-in-law, all problems would not be a problem. Lina first found her mother and explained that the girls were the candidates she had personally selected for Singh's wives. In addition, she was pregnant now, and it was a boy, so she had already occupied an absolute dominant position. Who could shake her position in the new family? What was there to be afraid of? To be honest, Lina really did not think that the girls were her opponents, because these people were not qualified and had no support from the fan group, but she was different. With the support of the entire Shah family, her position was consolidated and unshakable. After hearing what her daughter said, the mother-in-law could only nod and agree, but she often gave the girls the cold shoulder in her daily life, which frightened them. Fortunately, Bel is a qualified husband. He always protects the interests of his women and competes with his mother-in-law to protect them. Although the days at home are very tense and tiring, home is home after all. It is a safe haven for one's own safety. After everyone has been together for a long time, the mother-in-law also knows the pitiful life experience and difficulties of the girls. Gradually, she let down her guard and the family lived happily together. The mother-in-law helped to take care of the family affairs, so she didn't have to worry about it. She only had to care about the problems in her career. After living at home for a few days, Bel Singh took a jeep and came to Sinja town to visit the building materials store. Now the Singha building materials industry has expanded to twice the extent, but the area has increased, and the number of salesmen has also doubled. The products produced by Singha Industrial Group were also placed on their respective booths for guests to choose from. The business of Singh building materials store is so hot, with people coming and going, and the daily turnover is rising steadily. Even those who cooperate with Singh building materials store in the transportation business have made a lot of money, and their service attitude has also improved. This is also related to the improvement of the system of Singh building materials store. Now Singh building materials store has been on the right track, and various systems are very complete, with clear rewards and punishments. All consumers who purchase building materials worth more than 5,000 rupees at Zinj building materials store can transport goods for free. The goods are delivered to their homes, and then the building materials store pays a certain amount of fees to the transport personnel and vehicles. Although the object of these transport personnel's money making is transferred to Zinj building materials store, there is no direct contact with the customers of these transported goods. But if your service attitude is poor, and the number of various building materials destroyed during transportation exceeds a certain proportion, the customer can make a telephone complaint. Then Singh building materials store will send its own personnel to investigate the authenticity of this matter. If it is really the fault of the transporter, he will face a heavy penalty. If there are 3 complaints, the transporter's vehicle will be revoked of its operating license. In other words, the various businesses of Singha building materials store have nothing to do with you. You can work wherever you want, and it has nothing to do with us if you starve to death. Chapter 217. A table full of people with their own hidden agenda. With the improvement of service quality, the business of the building materials store is of course getting more and more prosperous. In addition, it is a monopoly industry. There is no other store selling building materials in Sinja town. It would be strange if the business is not good. That is, someone is playing tricks in it, which is related to his own vital interests. Belsina will never let him go if he finds out who is playing tricks. After staying in the building materials store for an afternoon, Belsina was very happy to see that the turnover was in his pocket. In addition, everyone was busy inside and outside the building materials store during this period of time, helping himself to make a lot of profits. Of course, I have to show something when I come as a boss, otherwise it will make the employees feel disappointed and passive, so Belsina is very generous. Take out the store's daily turnover, and 80% of the funds are evenly distributed to all employees as bonuses. 20% of the funds are used to invite all employees to the best restaurant in town in the evening for a big meal. Let everyone relax, and then devote themselves to the new work the next day. That night, Belsina lived alone in the town, although there was only one human mule, Brooke, by his side. But the boy's growth rate is really scary now. He can fully meet the requirements of his followers, and he is doing quite well. After resting in the town for a night, Belsina got up very early the next morning, and made a relatively hearty breakfast by himself. At least he could eat white rice porridge with some side dishes. After eating and drinking, the human mule Brooke drove a Mercedes-Benz commercial vehicle, and took Belsina to the cement factory for inspection. In fact, the focus is on how the brick factory, which is on the right track, is operating. The rain this year seems a bit heavy. It used to rain every 3 days. It rained every 2 days, and it drizzled every day. Now it rains for half a day, and the rain is unusually abundant. If it continues like this, it will easily cause floods. Such bad weather has a great impact on some of Belsina's building materials companies, and the brick factory has the greatest impact. Fortunately, the brick racks built by themselves for drying bricks are of high quality. In addition, the site is open and the ventilation conditions are good, so the drying speed of bricks is half the time compared with the dry season. However, production is not delayed, especially the bricks produced are of particularly good quality and hardness, and most importantly, the price is cheap, so the sales of commercial bricks are extremely hot. Now a large parking lot has been newly built near the brick factory, and some large trucks are waiting here to pull bricks for those customers. They will earn a certain amount of freight for each brick, and they can feed a large number of people relying on the Singer brick factory. The people who rely on the brick factory for survival, regardless of size, can drive the local economy and make a contribution to the town. Not bad, not bad. The inspection effect is good, and the products produced by the 3 large factories at full load are in short supply. Now several companies under Singer Industrial are not concerned about market sales, but how to expand production to meet the ruthless and endless demands of the market. Seeing that a large amount of money has passed by like water because of low production efficiency, no one can bear such a result if they can't catch it. Everyone was so anxious that they found Belsina to discuss the expansion requirements, but now the Singer family has a big move, and the funds in hand cannot be moved. If these factories want to expand the scale of production, they can only postpone it, but everyone asked Belsina to give a timetable. They are waiting too anxiously. Who can bear to see the money flowing by? But the timetable cannot be changed by themselves, so they can only criticize these people with tough means. If you have money, won't you expand production and add equipment? Don't you have no money now? Why are you in such a hurry? Wait for me honestly. When you have money, you can expand the scale of production and buy new machines. It's really a 3-day no fight, and you dare to question your master. Who gives you such rights? Belsina got angry. After being scolded, the managers and heads of these factories returned to their respective posts one by one, sighing like eggplants hit by frost. Belsina, who escaped from the mouths of these wolves, felt a burst of fear. In fact, everyone was doing it for the good of the Singer family. Belsina knew this very well. The products produced now were not enough to sell. Seeing the money slipping away, everyone was anxious. If they could expand production to buy new equipment, they could meet the market's requirements, make money, and contribute to the rise of the Singh family. But now was not the right time. His funds had been occupied by the plastic factory. This was related to the century-old Indian version of Yewu, a small commodity city. It was not the scale of profits that these cement factories and asbestos-tile factories could bring. There was no way to compare. Was he going to throw away the watermelon to pick up sesame seeds? How stupid was he? Belsina, who hurriedly ran out of the wolf's mouth, felt a little scared. It would be better for him to appear less in the industrial park in the future. He had always been able to veto their request to expand production. Could it be that he could not find a reason to veto it 2 or 3 times? He could only reduce the chances of showing up so that these people could not catch his figure and could not bother him. Belsina, who had escaped back to the town, was about to have lunch. He had not contacted his allies for such a long time, so it was necessary for everyone to come out to consolidate their relationship. The umbrella must be maintained all the time, otherwise it will rust, and it will not work well if it rusts. Is that right? No matter how good friends or relatives are, they still need to visit each other and keep in touch with each other. If they don't keep in touch for a long time, the feelings between the two sides will naturally decline, and then all the previous efforts will be in vain. Anyway, I have time to invite a few friends out for a meal today, and it is necessary for everyone to have a good time and keep in touch. So Belsina, who returned to the room in the town, picked up the phone next to him and called his solid ally, Magnate. I learned that Magnate was really free this afternoon, so it was necessary to go out for a drink. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he explained to the mayor on the phone with his personality that he would also invite the newly appointed director of Axe to attend this ally gathering. As for the relationship between Belsina and this Axe, Magnate knew it clearly, but this did not hinder his relationship with Singh. Although this Axe was his strong competitor, he was his ally's ally and also his indirect ally. We all worked in the same town, so we would see each other every day, and it was inevitable to build good relationships. So we readily agreed that the three of us would meet at the hotel at around 3 PM that day. Each of the two big men in the town brought his core subordinates. We gathered around a large table and had a great time eating and drinking and chatting, but everyone sitting at the table was competing with each other in their hearts. Everyone had their own ideas in their hearts. They looked harmonious on the surface, but in fact, they were a mess behind the scenes. Chapter 218 Feedback. It was so tiring to sit down and eat with these old foxes. They toasted each other in a friendly manner. They drank happily and talked very easily. I heard that Belsina had found 3 young and beautiful wives, which made these middle-aged men very envious. The banquet lasted until the afternoon, and it slowly dispersed at 7 or 8 o'clock. Because Belsina was the initiator, of course, Belsina was responsible for the bill. Ziokin didn't care, but Belsina felt very tired mentally. He went home and fell asleep after cursing. The next day, Belsina was still asleep when he was awakened by the ringing of the phone. He picked it up and saw that it was Almasha calling him. This kid had made mistakes before and was beaten to death by himself, but he has completely changed since he got married. He is steady in doing things and is a rare all-round talent in the Singh family. He is also the head of a group. He has been out for a few days. Calling me must have had results. I quickly picked up the phone, lit a cigarette, and asked with a smile. Al, you little brat called me so early. Did you find anything? Tell me whether it's good news or bad news. To be honest, Almasha is already 21 years old this year, much older than Belsing, and is called a little brat by his master. Although it is a nickname, it makes Al feel amused and helpless. The business is more important, so he just smiled and said, Master, good news, absolutely good news. There is no plastic product factory in the whole of Rajasthan. There are only a few small workshops, and there are only 5 or 6 machines, but they are all products of the British in the 1960s. The production efficiency is really too low. The largest small workshop has no more than 15 workers, and the annual output value does not exceed 10 million rupees. It does not pose any threat to our family. This is the best news I have heard in recent days. I didn't expect that there are really plastic production companies in Rajasthan, but they are all small fly workshops. These scattered small enterprises can't pose any threat to me at all. The largest one has only 5 or 6 machines, and they are old British objects from the 1960s. What can I afford to turn over? Big waves are coming. Great. God is helping me, Belsina said with a laugh. Really? If there is anything missing, you, as a leader, should be responsible. Almasha Singh laughed on the phone, patting his chest and said, Master, do you still think I'm the same Al as before? Since you woke me up with the crocodile belt, I have completely changed. Don't worry, the statistics are absolutely accurate. I have personally verified every factory. Belsina was relieved at this time and encouraged Al to come back quickly. There are still tasks to be completed. Then he hung up the phone and waited for the other team to bring him back the news he wanted. The other team was a large force and would travel all over the Indian subcontinent. It would not be completed in less than half a month. He was not in a hurry, and the Singh family was not in a hurry, but Almash's call was like a medicine. It attracted a series of reactions. Just when Belsina was about to get up and take a shower in the bathroom, the phone rang again. This time it was little Jamal who called. Little Jamal was sent by himself to Yewu, China to investigate the market. This kid is smart and has a very strong memory. He is fully qualified for this job. The call to himself must have completed his task. He quickly picked up the phone. No need to ask, little Jamal said with a smile on the other end of the phone. Master, I guess you must have just got up. Did I disturb your sleep? Ha 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 ha, but you must listen to my report, which is related to the financial prospects of our family. Belsina said with a helpless smile. Boy, you think you got the first place, but in fact you are the second. I got up a long time ago. Tell me what good news is there. Little Jamal stood in front of the hotel window, looking at the busy road, and said with a smile. Master, the task you assigned to me has been completed. I have inspected all the markets around Yewu. As you expected, almost 60% of the small plastic products sold in Yewu are locally manufactured. Only more than 40% are outsourced to enterprises in other provinces and then transported to Yewu by rail for sale. The variety of small plastic products sold in Yewu is really rich, with more than 2,000 kinds of large and small. This scale is really too large, and our family can't afford it. That's right, the Singh family can't afford such a large variety of goods, with more than 2,000 kinds of large and small. How large a factory building is needed? How many machines can complete the production task of so many products? Besides, with so many products produced, are they all popular? If there is a little inventory, you will put your funds on it. Although plastic products can be recycled, it is impossible to confuse them with different colors of plastic products. So many plastic products will definitely be castrated. Bel Singh knows it in his heart. Even if the Singh family's plastic factory increases to 1,000 various machines, the products produced can only account for about 600 kinds, and these 600 kinds of goods must all be best-selling goods, and there must be no backlog of goods. So Belsina frowned and said to the little Jamal on the phone, it is impossible for us to produce more than 2,000 kinds of products. Your next task is to observe which plastic products sell best in Yewu small commodity city. Make a list. The number should be around 600 kinds. Then observe the details of India's purchase of goods in Yewu in detail, and don't be afraid to spend money to get this information. I want to see what kind of business the merchants from the Indian mainland are doing in Yewu. How big is the scale? Little Jamal nodded and smiled and said, don't worry, sir, I will come up with a detailed report and investigate everything in Yewu with you, but it will take a long time. I hope you will wait patiently. The length of time does not matter, as long as you figure out what you want, you can spend any price. After hanging up the phone with little Jamal, I saw that the phone finally quieted down, and then I came to take a shower. Then they packed up and sat in the Immersed sub driven by the human mule Brook and returned to the Laga Valley. When they got home, it was just in time for breakfast, especially the breakfast made by the Cantonese chef, which was rich in variety. For example, the most classic barbecued pork buns, rice noodle sausage, and various small snacks. The number of varieties alone exceeded 40. So the family ate very happily, especially Lina, who was accompanied by her parents and her husband, and the joy of becoming a mother soon made the little girl feel very happy. Chapter 219, William's Company. 2 days later, Jamal Jr. called back and said to Belsina excitedly, Master, what I inquired this time is absolutely accurate and very detailed. Although 60% of plastic products are produced locally in Yewu, the number of local plastic manufacturing companies is small, but the scale is large. Isn't this nonsense? Yewu is a small commodity wholesale city, and 60% of the suppliers are local manufacturers. If the scale is not large and the production efficiency is not high, can it meet the requirements of Yewu? I didn't expect that China has developed so fast in recent years. The plastic product factories around Yewu have begun to take shape and can fully meet the needs of Yewu. Belsina frowned and said, what is the scale of their plastic production companies? What kind of machines do they use? Jamal Jr. could hear Belsina's concerns and said with a smile, "Master, you may not believe it, but the largest factory has no more than 500 workers. There are only 300 machines, and the daily consumption of plastic particles reaches 50 tons. The efficiency is quite high. This is a miracle of China. There are few people, but the work they do is incredibly efficient, working more than 12 hours a day. There are no complaints at all, unlike workers in European and American countries who are so hypocritical. This is why China can rise in a short period of time. The real secret is that hard-working people make up for everything." Although Belsina is very proud in his heart, he is quite worried. "Yes, I have seen with my own eyes the efficiency of China. 500 people consume 50 tons of plastic particles every day. How many plastic products can be produced with this? The work efficiency of the Chinese people. You have seen it too. Do you think the residents of our town of Sinja can compare with them? I will be thankful if I can catch up with half the work efficiency of the Chinese workers." Little Jamal said with a smile, "Master, there is nothing we can do. You also know how lazy those damn slaves are. Otherwise, how could they have been oppressed by a minority of us upper castes for thousands of years and dared not resist?" Another reason for the inefficiency is the cultural level. China adopts 9 years of compulsory education. Except for some textbooks and tuition fees, there are no other study expenses. But our country is different. You are also educated and know how backward and corrupt the education system is, isn't it? Although the method adopted by Indian education is different from that of China, the tuition fees are not high because of large government subsidies. But this fee is not much, and it is in quotation marks. In other developed countries, it is not worth mentioning at all, but in rural India, these tuition fees are more than 80% of a family's living expenses. Even more than 200%. Where is there so much spare money to support their children to go to school? In addition, India does not have any family planning, and it is common for each family to have 10 or 8 children. The tuition fees for so many children to go to school is an astronomical figure. Can their parents afford it? This is also the reason why there are so many illiterate people in India. If you can't afford to go to school and have no cultural knowledge, how can you let him operate precision instruments? Even if the quality of a worker is not even 1/3 of that of Chinese workers, how high can the production efficiency be? How can you be competitive if the production efficiency is not high? Others produce 2 plastic bowls, and you have already sent out the source of goods after only producing half of them. You are still packing and inefficient. Of course, others are too lazy to cooperate with you. This is an indisputable fact, but I don't have that much power to change the status quo of Indian society and hire those educated people. People with junior high school education are arrogant and even more arrogant than me, a noble master. Is it realistic to let these people with high expectations and low skills come to the plastic factory to work for you from dawn to dusk? How much does it cost to hire them? Belsina was worried about the workers. He rubbed his head and said with a wry smile, "There is no other way but to do it little by little. If it doesn't work, we will beat them and fine them." Facing the danger of 60% of their salary being deducted, they still can't learn to operate the machine. They are real wastes. There is no point in keeping them. By the way, where do the machines of those plastic manufacturing companies in China come from? Are they American or Japanese? How are the performance and efficiency of the machines? Little Jamal laughed and finally brought good news. "Master, they are second-hand products from Japan. Although they are second-hand, they are quite efficient. They can fully meet the needs of these plastic manufacturing companies. Only one company has reached full capacity. Other companies have reached 80% of the operation level, and they are still rich, but Japanese machines are too expensive. I suggest that we use American or German ones. Not only will the efficiency be improved, but the price will also be much cheaper." Belsina arranged some tasks for little Jamal to complete and then hung up the phone and then called old Jamal to manage the house. Buy a flight to Germany in advance. Little Jamal is right. Japanese products are not only expensive, but also have relatively low production efficiency. The best machinery in the world is produced in Germany. Besides, the workers that Belsina was going to recruit were of low quality. If the machines were simple and easy to learn, it would be okay, and it would meet the needs of production efficiency. If they were too sophisticated, these wastes would not understand at all, and how could they produce products at that time? How could they create profits for themselves? The German-made machines were simple and easy to understand, and very easy to use, which was Belsina's first goal for purchasing. The second reason for purchasing German machines was that Belsina did not want to use second-hand goods. Although second-hand goods were cheap and efficient, they were prone to malfunction. A small problem could cause a machine to not operate for a day, and how much money would he lose? However, new machines would not have such problems, especially new machines produced in Germany, which were more durable. Although the price was not cheap, the work efficiency was more than doubled, which could completely make up for the price difference. In order to produce products and sell them, the better the machine, the more money he would make. This was proportional. Who likes to buy second-hand junk? 2 days ago, the old Jamal housekeeper, the information of the world's most mainstream plastic products related machinery manufacturers should be sent back, and Singer carefully screened the information. I chose a plastic machinery manufacturing company called Williams in Cologne, Germany, and planned to inspect it on site. If it was good, I would sign a contract to buy the machine. Fortunately, I applied for a passport when I went out for honeymoon with Lina some time ago, which saved me a lot of trouble. I had a simple lunch with my family at noon that day, then took a car to Udapa, and then transferred to Mumbai to fly directly to Cologne, Germany. More than 10 hours later, at 6 o'clock in the morning, Belsina and the old housekeeper got off the plane and came to the parking lot of Cologne Airport in Germany to take a taxi. I came to live in the city and got off at a 5-star hotel. Before I had time to rest, I met with the translator I had hired online. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon of the same day, I contacted their sales manager at the plastic machinery production company and came to the factory for a visit. The machines produced in Germany are indeed simple and easy to learn. There is only one operating panel to control a machine, which can produce all kinds of plastic products 24 hours a day. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 220, Big Purchase. Because the production process of plastic products requires heating, the temperature in the demonstration workshop is relatively high, but this temperature is not a big deal for Indians. However, when several German strong men around him were sweating profusely, they were still very dedicated to explaining to Bell the manufacturing principles and advanced level of these machines. Germans are serious about their work, which is recognized by the world. Although these machines are simple to operate with only a few buttons, there is also an operating panel to set the program, and it will run automatically. But if you want those illiterate Indians to understand these machines, you have to break a few of them. The price of a machine exceeds 10 million rupees. How can you let these rubbish break a few of them? That would be a huge loss. In addition, these machines for producing plastics are classified into different categories, specializing in making plastic bags of various sizes and colors, and machines for making various plastic tabloids. There are machines for making disposable plastic cups, and there are comprehensive machines for making various small plastic products. For example, plastic pens, plastic drawing tools, disposable lighters, etc. Every profession has its own specialty, and machines are not omnipotent and can make all plastic products. They are also divided into categories, and the sizes are different, and the prices are also different. For example, the machine that produces plastic bags of various specifications weighs 3 tons and is as big as 4 or 5 freezers. The production efficiency is 50,000 plastic bags per hour, and it is of various specifications. The largest plastic bag has a volume of 1 cubic meter, and the small plastic bag can only hold an apple. It produces 50,000 plastic bags per hour, but the price is very cheap. The total value of the ancillary products of this machine has reached 15 million rupees. It is equivalent to 1 million RMB, and it can operate and produce 24 hours a day. The number of plastic bags produced in one day reaches millions. If there are 5 such baselines, it can fully meet the demand for plastic bags in India for more than 3 gangs, which is 3 federations equivalent to the area of 3 provinces. You can imagine how efficient the machines produced in Germany are. They are very beautiful and perfect. Belsinger purchased 5 such plastic bag production machines on the spot. There are also 5 plastic tableau production machines, which can not only produce cups, bowls, plates, and spoons. It can also produce some plastic barrels of various specifications. Anyway, any plastic products related to the kitchen can be produced. However, the price of such a machine is equivalent to twice that of a plastic production machine. It costs more than 30 million rupees. One lottery purchase means 5 machines. It is absolutely a big deal. Then 2 machines were purchased to produce pipes of various specifications. The largest diameter of the plastic pipes produced by the machine is more than 20 centimeters, and the smallest diameter is only 0.1 centimeters. These pipes have different uses. White pipes with a diameter of more than 10 centimeters can be connected to the building as rainwater channels. As for the shortest 0.1 centimeters pipe, it can meet the needs of intravenous needles. It is made of various materials and specifications. Plastic pipes can be produced quite perfectly. Each machine costs more than 20 million rupees. In addition, 10 plastic production machines with various molds were purchased. Plastic molds of various colors and specifications can be produced. These plastic films can be assembled into a plastic table lamp. A plastic box and a disposable lighter can be made. All plastic components that humans can use can be produced by this machine and then spliced together to become a very beautiful plastic tool. Such a machine, because there are too many molds and accessories, and the machine is large, the price exceeds 50 million rupees per unit. Although this machine is expensive, it is a universal hand in plastic production. There is nothing it cannot produce. As long as there are molds, it can produce anything. Its value is much higher than those plastic bag production machines and plastic tube production machines. Of course, it is also very complicated to operate. Maintenance is even more troublesome. Fortunately, Germans are more honest and pay more attention to logistical services when doing business. In addition, the number of machines purchased by Belsinger, large and small, exceeds hundreds of units and has become a VIP customer of Colin Plastics, a machine manufacturing company. It only cost half the price to purchase all the spare parts of these machines, as well as maintenance tools. After Belsinger's request, the company decided to send more than 20 technical workers to stay in Belsinger's plastic factory for a long time to train local workers. The time is 2 years. Of course, within 2 years, all the wages and expenses of these workers will be borne by Belsinger. When the 2 parties signed a machinery purchase contract worth more than $8.5 million, a plastic products factory that almost dominated the entire southern India was finally born. Of course, Belsinger only had working capital equivalent to 100 million RMB, and there was no way to raise such a large sum of money for a purchase contract of $8.5 million at once. Fortunately, the 2 companies on both sides could provide 40% of the funds to get the machines, and the remaining funds could be paid on delivery. Belsinger still had more than 20 days to raise the funds. If he returned home and drew up all the working capital of several subsidiaries, the purchase amount of $8.5 million could still be raised. He stayed in Germany for 3 days, leaving the old Jamal housekeeper on site to supervise the packaging process of these machines until they were loaded on the ship. The old housekeeper would fly back to India, but Bell's character took a step ahead. He started to raise money as soon as he returned home and almost plundered all the subsidiaries under the Singh Industrial Group. In addition to leaving the salary for the month, all the cash was drawn up and a large sum of money was borrowed from his father-in-law, and only then did he raise $8.5 million. Everyone must be thinking that the author has made a wrong calculation again when they see this. Even if 100 million RMB is converted into US dollars at a rate of 1:8, it is more than tens of millions of US dollars. Why do we need to raise money? Because Belsinger must leave enough funds to build a factory, otherwise there will be no factory to house the machines. When they come back, they will be scrapped. Although the cement and bricks used to build the factory are all produced by themselves, the workers are free. There is also the relevant procedures for handling the company, which is another sum of money. Because the Indian government is greedy and inefficient, it is impossible to get a business license and various related documents without spending money. Although the speed of these officials in handling documents can be described as a snail, if you don't have these relevant documents to put into production, they will fine you as soon as possible. They may even seal your factory, take away your machines, and detain them in the hands of these relevant departments. At that time, it will be a bribe. The officials who handle the documents use such a small amount of money. These government officials are black and their eyes are full of money. It is definitely not good to let them keep an eye on you. Therefore, Belsinger would rather spend money to bribe these officials and quickly complete the relevant procedures and licenses, rather than give these officials the opportunity to take action. So Belsinger went back home and worked hard, and finally raised all the funds. After learning that the machinery had been shipped, and the old housekeeper confirmed it by phone, the second payment was paid. The third payment will be settled after the machinery is installed and debugged, and there are no problems in the trial operation for 15 days. Chapter 221, Plastic Granule Raw Material Supplier. Belsinger, who had raised the funds, just breathed a sigh of relief, and began to prepare to contact another supplier of the plastic products company. This supplier is the supplier of plastic particles, which is equivalent to the supplier of raw materials for the factory. Without these plastic particles, the plastic products factory will starve to death. However, all the raw plastic particles of all plastic product factories in India are imported from two directions. One is Japan and the other is the United States. Because plastic is a byproduct of petroleum, the best quality is still American products, but the price is expensive, followed by Japan. However, if you want to turn your own plastic production base into an Indian version of Zioyawu, the quality of the products you produce must be excellent. This is related to the reputation of your own factory. Cheating customers is equivalent to cutting off your own financial path. If your product quality is not good, people will be fooled twice, and they can be fooled for a long time. People will not find another supplier of high quality products. After losing customers, how can your factory survive? Fooling customers is equivalent to fooling your own wallet. When doing business, we must be honest and have to pay attention to quality, so naturally, the quota of Japanese plastic particle suppliers was rejected. In addition, Belsinger was not very interested in the Japanese, so he chose Will, an American plastic granule supplier, to provide plastic raw materials. After contacting Will, Belsinger brought his old butler to San Francisco, a western city in the United States. He contacted Will Plastic Granules Company, and their deputy sales manager received 2 people on site. After watching the entire production process of plastic granules, these white plastic granules are very similar to white rice. These plastic granules are put into the machine, heated and then blown into film. After being pressed by a grinding saw, the parts of these plastic products will be produced. The process is very simple, and the plastic products made from these plastic granules are hard. Toxic and harmful substances will be reduced to a minimum, which is in line with the standards of the Environmental Protection Department. Just 1 kilogram of white plastic granules like rice can make more than 10,000 white standard plastic bags. It feels magical, right? In fact, the weight of a bag is less than 0.1 grams. It looks big in size, but very light in weight. In addition, the quality of American products is excellent, and even more than 100 plastic bags can be made. It depends on how the thickness of the plastic bag is adjusted. These white plastic granules are packed in white silk bags, and each bag weighs more than 100 kilograms. 10 bags are equivalent to 1 ton. According to the hundreds of large and small production machines that I bought, the amount of raw materials consumed is calculated. With 24-hour non-stop production, the daily consumption of plastic granules reaches about 50 tons. The plastic products produced every day can fully meet the needs of more than 3 federal governments, that is, the 2 gangs around Rajasthan. They can meet the needs of the market and monopolize the production needs of 3 regions equivalent to provinces. It is not as simple as making a fortune every day. It can be said that every hour will make a fortune. 50 tons of such raw materials are needed every day. How many tons are needed for 365 days a year? It has reached the standard of medium-sized customers. Therefore, will company attaches great importance to cooperation with Singh Industrial Group. Such plastic granules are of high quality and pollutants are reduced to the lowest standard. Of course, the price per ton is astonishing $70 if the cost of ocean transportation, the cost of road and rail transportation, and tariffs are added, the price can rise to more than $100 per ton. This is also unavoidable. Who made the Indian government so greedy and the infrastructure so backward? The contract signed with Will Company is for a period of 1 year, and the amount of plastic pellets provided to Singh Industrial Company every month has reached an astonishing 1,800 tons of plastic pellets, with a total value of more than $180,000. Of course, after Belsinger argued, the first month's plastic pellets will only be paid after the second month's plastic pellets arrive. It is to test whether the quality of these plastic pellets is up to standard, and whether the hazardous substances exceed the standard. If the quality of these plastic pellets is not up to standard, then Belsinger will receive compensation for 1,800 tons of plastic pellets, which is the benefit of paying the plastic pellets 1 month later. Of course, the first batch of 1,800 tons of plastic pellets will arrive at the port of Mumbai 3 months later. Because Belsinger has not built a factory and warehouse yet, these plastic pellets cannot be piled outside in the rain, so the first batch of plastic pellets will be shipped to India 3 months later. After the two parties signed the contract, Will Company originally wanted to invite Belsinger, a medium-sized customer, to visit San Francisco and play around and enjoy the host's benefits. But how can Belsinger have the heart to play now? The address of the plastic products factory at home has not been selected yet, and the construction of the factory and warehouse has not started yet. There are a lot of things waiting for me to do, so how can I have time to play? After declining Will's company, I took the old housekeeper to visit local shops and bought some gifts for the women in the family and my father-in-law and mother-in-law. I hurriedly boarded the plane back to Mumbai, settled down in Mumbai, found a more reliable construction team locally, and negotiated the price before returning to Sinja town. Belsingh was so tired when he returned home that the women were very distressed. Finally, I went home and had a good rest for a few days. But Belsingh had something in his mind. After resting for 2 days, he brought people to Singh Industrial Park, where the cement factory was located. The current Singh Industrial Park is not as simple as it was at the beginning. Cement walls have been built all around it, and barbed wire has been installed on it. It has 2 east and west gates, and a guard room has been built next to the door. There are guards here 24 hours a day. After entering the park, you can see 3 factories forming a pin shape and working hard. The mines a few kilometers away are also prosperous. Hundreds of workers are working in the open air here, slowly shrinking the rocks that the blasting group has blown up. Then they are transported to the raw material workshop of the cement plant by trucks. Although this is very inefficient, a large stone crusher can replace more than 50 workers. But now Belsinger does not have so much money to buy large machines such as excavators, crushers, and loaders, so he can only use the least efficient but cheapest labor. When the Singh family has money, these large machines will be put into operation. Now they can only be replaced by manual labor. At that time, it can also meet the needs of the cement plant. The area near Dan Demon has now been cleared. The area is as large as 3 football fields, which can fully meet the needs of the plastic products factory at this stage. Chapter 222, Damn Heavy Rain. Arriving at the general manager's office of the cement factory, before he had time to sit down and drink a sip of hot tea, Belsingh asked Marbury to quickly summon the CEOs of the subsidiaries of Singh Industries to come to Marbury's office for a meeting. 10 minutes later, everyone gathered together, and then Belsingh frowned and said, "I believe you have heard that I have made a big move recently. I want to build the largest plastic products factory in southwest India." At this time, everyone looked at each other and nodded to show that they understood. Recently, Belsingh was jumping up and down like a monkey. He took the old housekeeper to run around all over the country and abroad. Although everyone had heard a little about it, they didn't know how big the plastic products factory that Singh planned to build was. Where to put it? yesterday, when I saw the boss coming to the industrial park, I knew that the plastic factory was still their neighbor. Master Singh would not gather everyone together for a meeting for no reason. He would definitely assign tasks to everyone. Now that each subsidiary has been on the right track, their general managers are just showing up to stabilize the morale of the troops. Then he arranged the tasks, and the rest were completed by his men. His life was quite carefree. Not only do they enjoy high salaries, but they also have cars for their use, so everyone feels very happy working at Singer Industrial. They are so idle that hair grows all over their bodies. It is okay to help their master and set up a plastic products factory. So they all smiled, and the oldest Marbury spoke first. Boss, just tell me what you want. Why are you being so polite to us? Recently, the company has been on the right track and is running at full capacity to produce goods. We have a lot of free time, just right to help you. That's what I want you to say. Belsinger nodded with great satisfaction and said with a smile, I have invited a professional construction team in Mumbai to build a plastic products factory next to the East Gate. Although the land area is as large as 3 football fields, it will be expanded in the future. My ambition cannot be satisfied with this little thing. Since we have invited a construction team, the raw materials will be provided by our family. The raw material supply workshop of the cement plant, plus the blasting team, pay attention to the variety and quality of the blasting stones. In the process of blasting limestone, some of the hard rocks should be cleared out. It is best to use rocks to lay the foundation. Then the cement plant should try to increase production efficiency and transport all the cement from the plastic factory. The brick factory also needs to burn large bricks, at least twice as much as the current red bricks. The factory buildings built with such bricks will be very strong. At this time, Marbury frowned and said, Master, it has been a month since the rainy season, and it rains almost every day. The ground is moist and contains a lot of water. It will be very difficult to dig the foundation now, and it may collapse. Even if the foundation is built, it will be out of shape in the dry season. Shouldn't we wait? Belsinger certainly knew the difficulty of construction in the rainy season. It can be said that the construction cost is 1/3 higher than that in the dry season. The construction time will be doubled. Even if the cement is poured, there is no time to dry it thoroughly. It cannot be completed in 8 days. But now time is money. How can we wait? Seizing the blank period of the market is the most important strategic goal. All difficulties must be overcome, Belsinger said with a frown. Of course I know the difficulty of the estimated construction. Not only will it cost a lot of money and expenses, but even the construction period will be extended. But now time is running out. Now is the blank period of the entire southern Indian market. We must seize this big cake first, so as to ensure the profit of the factory. Yes, seizing the opportunity is a necessary condition for doing business. Seizing the blank period of the market can ensure the rapid development and growth of the enterprise. Grow into a behemoth in a short period of time, and then those small companies will slowly enter the market. By then, the Singh family's plastic manufacturing factory will have grown into a giant level, and will not be afraid of those small flies. In order to get ahead, even if the road ahead is full of thorns, a path must be opened up, not to mention that some difficulties can be overcome, right? So Belsinger said with a frown. If it were placed in other groups, it would definitely be expected to be constructed at this time, but I will. Why? Because our Singer industry, all its subsidiaries are engaged in the production of building materials. It can be said that we need people, building materials, and building materials. What are we afraid of? The brave will die of starvation, and the timid will die of starvation. Isn't it difficult to construct in the rainy season? I will build a giant awning, and it will be over. Construction under the awning. What impact can the rainy season have? This is equivalent to the area of 3 football fields. How big is it to cover it with asbestos tiles? A gust of wind destroyed it all. So everyone saw Belsinger, as if he was looking at a madman, which made Belsinger laugh and cry, and said slowly, do you think I'm crazy? If the area of 3 football fields is covered with asbestos tiles, how much weight would it take? Not to mention the strong wind. Even a level 3 wind can destroy the awning, and the loss will be even greater, right? That's right. Everyone is worried about this. Seeing their boss point out the disadvantages, everyone nodded. At this time, Belsina laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. He wiped his tears and said, "You are all stubborn and can't think of flexibility. Who said that the area of 3 football fields should be covered in this area? Do you understand modular production?" Modular production was the first time these people heard of it. At this time, Belsina explained to everyone what modular production was. The first step we have to do is to build a 50-meter long and 50-meter wide canopy. The surroundings are empty for ventilation. After the ground of the canopy is dry, we will dig the foundation. Then we will pour the foundation section by section and build the wall. When the foundation and the wall are all dry, we will move the pot to the next location, and then dig the foundation and build the wall. Such a section by section construction can fully guarantee the progress of the construction, and the quality is excellent. It will not be affected by the rainy season. The area of 3 football fields is fully covered with canopies. What do you think, you pigs? Everyone looked at me, I looked at you, and was so shocked that they almost dropped their chins on their feet. I didn't expect that my master's thinking was so jumpy, and he quickly thought of a way to solve the difficulty of construction in the rainy season. Construction section by section, ensuring that the foundation of each section of the wall meets the standards, will only build the next section. It is superimposed on each other, and the construction is very slow, but it does not affect the progress of the construction. It's just a matter of time. Although this method is very clumsy and troublesome, you have to admit that it is a good way to solve the problem. This is equivalent to wearing a big bamboo hat and a hard hat for factory construction. It's a good idea. It's good. My master is smart. Otherwise, how can he become a master? I'm just a worker. Chapter 223. Construction starts. After Belsina explained the tips for factory building to his subordinates, he spoke seriously to everyone. Even if it is a 50x50 meter awning, a large amount of asbestos tiles and various steel materials are needed. The quantity will definitely not be too small. Everyone should cooperate with each other, especially the asbestos tile factory should take the main responsibility. At this time, these people who don't show their loyalty are really pig brains. Ivan, the general manager of the asbestos tile factory, quickly stood up from his chair and patted his chest and said, "Master Singh, don't worry, the asbestos tile factory will definitely not lag behind. In addition to ensuring the production required by the market, it can also meet the construction of the factory." He waved his hand, smiled and asked Ivan to sit on the chair, and nodded with great satisfaction. The newly hired general manager of the brick factory, Beasley asked with a smile, "According to my regulations, producing bricks twice as large as ordinary red bricks requires quite high requirements from the brick factory. In order to meet the construction needs, the factory must produce such oversized bricks at full capacity, which requires high requirements for machinery and labor. Can the brick factory complete such a task?" Beasley, the manager of the brick factory, nodded with a smile. "Don't worry, sir, the brick factory will go all out to complete the work you have assigned and will never drag its feet. It's just a matter of changing the spacing of brick production. Now the brick factory can complete the production task of 300,000 bricks every day, even if the brick volume you specified is too large. But 200,000 bricks every night is not a problem. Give me a week, and I can provide 200,000 bricks every day. After a week, it can meet the needs of the entire factory and warehouse construction work. Well, he is worthy of being a college student hired by me at a high salary. Although he is young, Beasley and he deserves the treatment he enjoys. He is also worthy of my appreciation of him." What he said is powerful and reassuring. College students are college students. They are really enterprising and have the confidence to take responsibility, which is much better than those old timers. He waved his hand to let Beasley sit down and then said to Marbury with a smile, "You are the general manager of the cement factory, the largest subsidiary of Singer Industrial Company, and you are well informed. In addition, the cement factory has been put on the right track, so the construction of the plastic products factory, the factory building, and the warehouse will be handed over to you. You are fully responsible. After all, I can't watch the construction site every day. Being valued by the boss is the favorite thing for all workers. Their status in the boss's mind is getting higher and higher. The tasks assigned to me are getting heavier and heavier, and the development prospects are getting broader. It is a bit tiring, but in the boss's heart, I'm an irreplaceable and important person, which is better than anything else. So Marbury smiled and nodded and said, "Don't worry, sir, you will definitely be satisfied. If you give me this task, I will keep an eye on the construction site 24 hours a day and strive to complete it as soon as possible so that the workshop of the plastic products factory can install machinery and debug production as soon as possible. Profits should be generated earlier, otherwise all the profits of our subsidiaries will be posted in the plastic products factory. If we don't generate income one day earlier, we will have to tighten our belts to live. There is no way. Sink's Golden Goose is the cement factory and asbestos tile factory. How can we build the plastic products factory without plundering you? There are difficulties to overcome. People live in poverty and wealth. Now it is poor and funds are tight. In the future, it will be rich and funds are abundant. Will good days be far away? Seeing that everyone supports him so much, Belsing is very pleased to give these people such high wages and such good treatment. Moreover, he also equips Santana 2000 as a special car to serve them in exchange for their loyalty. 2 days later, the construction team hired by Mumbai finally arrived at the industrial park after a long journey. These construction teams include designers. There were more than 30 people, including on-site construction supervisors, inspectors, etc., all of whom were arranged to live in the newly built employee dormitory of the cement factory, and all meals were provided by the canteen of the cement factory. Then Belsina arranged for Jamal, who had returned, to recruit construction workers in Sinjar town. These people did not need to have a high level of education, as long as they had some strength. In addition, there were some more professional technical workers. For example, bricklayers plastering cement walls is not something that ordinary people can do very professionally, and of course the salary is high. This is a temporary job, and the longest construction period will not exceed 2.5 months, but Belsina pays high wages and good treatment. He never delays wages, nor does he beat or scold these workers for no reason. So everyone is quite motivated to work for Belsina. Within 3 days, all these workers and technicians who had no skills were recruited. In order to improve efficiency, the cement factory overcame difficulties and brought the only excavator over to dig the trench of the foundation on site under the built awning. The foundation is 2 meters deep. Hundreds of kilograms of large stones are thrown into the ditch and then covered with threaded steel bars as thick as a child's arm. They are tied together and poured with cement. In order to dry the foundation faster, many vents are dug on both sides of the foundation trench to let the cool breeze flow in from the vents to dry the cement foundation inside. This is not to mention the large blowers that come out of the kiln of the brick factory every night, all deployed on these vents, blowing hard. The electricity bill is not wasted, but the process and time of cement drying are shortened. After testing, this method is really practical. Just pour it bit by bit, and it can be completed in a week. The 50-meter foundation pouring project. Building a wall on it. Belsina is a very serious person. Although he doesn't have much working capital in his pocket, he needs to go all out to build the subsidiary of Singh Industrial Group, whether it is a factory or a warehouse. Any project cannot be sloppy, cut corners, and the earthquake resistance should reach level 6. The service life should be more than 60 years to meet the standards of Master Singh. When building the wall, the construction period was shortened by half. After all, it was underground. Ventilation and humidity are very difficult, but building the wall on the ground is much simpler, and the construction period was shortened by half. Within 4 days, the 50-meter wall was built. After testing, it has reached the standard required by Belsina. Then the area of the awning began to be shortened. After the 50-meter long wall was completely covered, the large square awning began to move forward. Prepare to dig another section of the foundation and then pour it. This is a simplified version of the modular production workflow. It looks very simple, but it is very easy to use. Because there is a awning, there is a heavy rain for 3 days and a light rain for 2 days. The rainy season with drizzle every day has no effect on the construction. The feedback from the construction team is also very good. At least these workers work under this shed and will not suffer from being wetted by rain and getting sick. The work efficiency has further increased, which makes Belsina feel very happy. If it follows this progress, 2 months later, the factory building and warehouse will definitely be completed, and the machines will be installed and debugged, and then production can begin. Chapter 224, Vampire arrives. Belsina jumped up and down, running around at home and abroad. It was impossible to hide his whereabouts. Besides, Belsina didn't want to hide it, but he was too busy during this period and didn't pay attention to those details. Just after the first section of the plastic factory's factory building and warehouse was built, Belsina could finally take a break. After returning home, he had a good meal, drank a little wine, and slept in bed until noon the next day. After getting up, he went to the central garden of the castle under the great trellis. Accompanying his wife Lina, he did prenatal education for his unborn baby son. Several women on the side also dressed up and sat beside him. From time to time, they had to feed Belsina with various fruits. The girls felt very satisfied with their current life. Stable and wealthy, whatever they wanted to eat and wear, as long as they gave an order, the servants would deliver it. The only thing that felt a little distressed was that Belsina was very busy during this period and rarely accompanied several women. They felt a little lonely. Belsina finally settled down today, so several women dressed up beautifully, hoping to be favored in the evening. The family was happily doing prenatal education. The old housekeeper frowned and came behind Belsina and whispered, "Master, Director Axe drove to our house in person and is waiting in the study." Looking at his hurried appearance, it seems that he heard some rumors and came to collect money. "You must be vigilant." Belsina smiled coldly and said, "This time I'm planning to build a plastic products factory, and the funds spent are more than tens of millions of dollars. How can such a large investment allow them to own shares for no reason? This is not a cement factory, nor a brick factory. It is impossible to get benefits without paying a price. I will meet him." Then he said something to several women and went to the study with the old housekeeper and saw Director Axe sitting on the sofa, drinking tea with a smile. Belsina walked in and laughed, hugged, and greeted each other, and then sat on the sofa. After the old housekeeper arranged for the servants to bring some fruits and cakes, he personally came to guard outside the door and did not allow anyone to approach. At this time, Axe smiled and said to Belsina, "Brother Singh, what have you been busy with recently? Although I only got some gossip, I can also judge that you are doing something big." Belsina knew the purpose of the other party's words and just smiled and said, "You are busy all day, but the news has reached Director Axe. It is true that good news does not go out, but bad news spreads 1,000 miles. Belsina just didn't fall for it, which made Axe feel like a punch on a cotton ball. He couldn't get any strength and couldn't move on to the next topic. It was very awkward, so he smiled and touched his nose and said, "Brother, we have become a firm alliance. What can't be said? Brother must be doing something big. Can you tell me what you are busy with recently?" Belsina laughed and picked up 2 bananas and gave them to Axe. He peeled the banana and took a bite, then smiled and said, "That's right. I've been running around in China and abroad for a while. I'm very busy. I want to raise funds to build a plastic processing plant. I bought hundreds of machines in Germany and negotiated the supply of raw materials in the United States. I came back to China to build factories and warehouses. I was so busy that I even forgot to eat and drink. How could I remember to inform you? Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Ha 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 ha." Axe knew that Belsing was going to make a big move, but he didn't expect it to be so big. He ran around Germany and the United States to buy machines and raw materials to open a plastic processing plant. Although Axe is the prince of the Bista family in Rajasthan, the Bista family is also a political family in Rajasthan. The family's main focus is on the politics of Rajasthan. But it doesn't prove that the people in this family don't care about other things. When their IQ reaches a certain level, they are good at politics or business. When he heard about the plastic processing plant with hundreds of machines, Axe's eyes lit up. Haha. He laughed and said, "Okay, brother, I'm not mistaken. You are really generous. Buying German machinery must not be second hand. It's a big investment." Belsina smiled and nodded. "Not much, not more than tens of millions of dollars." I don't have much ambition. I just want to make our Sinjamare into the Indian version of Yewu, the wholesale capital of small commodities. Good guy. Axe almost choked himself to death after saying this. He finally swallowed the banana in his mouth and said with a shocked face, "The Indian version of Yewu, your appetite really makes me feel scared. Don't you think about the geographical location of Sinja town, the backward transportation conditions, and the poor state of Rajasthan? It is profitable to open a small plastic processing factory. If you want to develop it into the Indian version of Yewu, I'm not pouring cold water on you. It's too difficult. The difficulty is not small, but aren't difficulties solved by people? If it is so easy to succeed, then you don't know how to cherish it. Life is like this. Solving problems and encountering problems in a continuous cycle is called life. If it is so easy, I won't do it." So Belsing smiled confidently and said, "Why not? It's not easy, but the opportunity is there. Will I just watch it slip away?" Hundreds of plastic products machines are the size of the largest plastic products company in India. I'm already the largest plastic products manufacturer in India. After 35 years of development, I will become the Indian version of Yewu. What's the big deal? Axe saw Belsing, who was full of confidence. He was not even as old as himself, but he had already accomplished this. He felt very envious, but for the sake of his own interests, he, the vampire, really had to show his fangs. Singh himself said that his plastic products factory was the largest plastic products company in India, and the profits generated could not be less. Without tearing off a piece of fat meat, can the Bista family let Belsing go? Let's be the villain ourselves. So he said with a smile, "Brother, let's not beat around the bush. What is my purpose for coming here this time? I believe you know it clearly. Our two families are allies. Give me 35% of the shares, and I will settle all the official affairs for you." It's really a big ask. He doesn't take a penny, but only wants 35% of the company's net assets to settle the official affairs. Why don't you die? Why don't you rob a bank? You think I'm a soft persimmon, but this is simply robbery. Although your Bista family is a political family in Rajasthan and has plenty of strength, I, Belsing, am not a pushover. Settling the official affairs is not enough for 35% of the shares. So Belsing laughed. Tears came out of his laughter. As for what Belsing was laughing at, Axe knew it very well and warned with a frown. "Brother, I'm talking to you about something serious. Can you please straighten your attitude? If you're just giving me a perfunctory answer, how can we continue the conversation? You're talking to me. You're talking about 35% of the shares. My money came from the wind. But if you don't make any actual investment, don't even think about taking a penny of the shares." Chapter 225. Lowering your posture is a basis for cooperation. Although Belsing was furious, he still kept a smile on his face and said with a tepid smile, "Do you Bista family treat me as your subordinate and my family as your slaves? Millions of dollars of investment, you can take it away as you like. Is it such a good thing? If there is, tell me, I will also participate." Although Belsing said this with a smile, Axe knew that Belsing was suppressing his anger. If Axe were in Belsing's position, this would be robbery. Occupying 35% of the shares of tens of millions of dollars of investment without taking a penny. What else could this be, if not crushing and robbing with absolute strength? But the Bista family has this absolute strength. Although the Singh family has some strength in Sinja town, it is at best a small local family. What is the Singh family outside this small town? But the Bista family is a political family in Rajasthan, and the two sides are not at the same level at all. Even if your Singh family is dissatisfied, what big waves can they make? So Axe just smiled and shook his head and said, "Singer, I advise you not to be so confrontational. In the power circle of Sinja town, your new songs and masterpieces are the best. You are a top family, but what about going beyond this small town? Besides, our family didn't ask for your shares for nothing. We will settle all the official matters for you." This sentence was really too hard to hear, and it hurt Belsing's self-esteem, but now strength represents everything. Just as Axe said, their strength is stronger than your Singh family, so they should become a subsidiary. But negotiations are negotiated. Getting angry can't solve the problem, and getting angry will only make the relationship between the two sides worse. I have already expressed my dissatisfaction, so I should stop while I'm ahead. If I really fight to the end, the Singh family will suffer. Belsingh said with a laugh. Your Bista family is a powerful political family with absolute influence in the official circles, much stronger than our Singh family. But there is one thing you can't compare to me, that is, you have money. As long as you have money, you can make the devil work. As long as you have money, you can hire someone to kill someone. There is nothing that can't be done without money, right? Axe sat up straight from the sofa, looked at Belsingh with cold eyes, and said with a sneer. Belsingh, I can understand. Are you threatening us by saying this? Threatening our Bista family? I really don't know what gave you such courage to dare to resist so fiercely. Belsingh smiled and held his head with his hands, leaning on the sofa, looking for a comfortable position, and then hummed and said, well, it's really comfortable. A dog will jump over the wall when it's desperate, and a rabbit will bite when it's desperate. Don't you know this truth? I'm a barefoot person, and I'm afraid of you who wear shoes. It's okay to talk it over. I just want to save face. You actually treat my Singh family as slaves and appendages. Even if I die, I won't let you feel comfortable. Don't you know this sentence, when I'm willing to sacrifice my life and pull the emperor down? Seeing Belsingh lying on the sofa lazily, but saying this, his attitude is very firm. He is crazier than himself. The reason why Belsingh can say such a thing is that he will do it. At worst, he will break the jar. Even if I die, I can't let your Bista family have an easy life. I will convert all my assets into cash. I will hire a killer to kill people, and I will deal with all your Bista family one by one. It's the same sentence that, if you force it too hard, the rabbit will resist. The Singh family is not a rabbit that bites, but much more powerful than a rabbit. Thinking back to everything that happened, when I came to the Singh family, it was still my attitude that was too tough. This is robbery. The investment of tens of millions of dollars, and the current investment of tens of millions of dollars in India, can alarm the House of Representatives. Who can bear to let you take away 35% of the shares just like this? No wonder the Singh family will resist. Belsingh can lead the Singh family to the current position at a young age. In 1 year, he built 3 factories and a building materials store, and destroyed a century-old wealthy family, and made a fortune. It can be said that Singh is a brave and resourceful person. Once he has made up his mind, he will fight to the death with the other party. You say that he is impulsive and unrealistic, and he can be humble for his own interests. He puts his attitude very low, saying that he is very wise, but he will not care about anything when his brain is hot. Such a young man is the most difficult to deal with, and you can't tell his pulse. He will not care about the consequences when he goes crazy, and Belsingh is definitely a good trader. Long-term cooperation between the two sides will bring much more long-term benefits than the current killing of the goose to get the eggs. If the new family is sincerely placed on an equal footing for cooperation, then the profits brought by the family will also be very lucrative. If Belsingh really has the ability to develop Sinja town into the Indian version of Yewu, then the benefits brought to his family will be quite huge, more than the 35% dry shares. We cannot kill a business genius and the huge profits in the future for a little bit of petty profit. Seeing that Belsingh did not say it, there is still a chance. Axe lit a cigarette and asked with a smile, then how much can you offer? Tell me an accurate plan. After the family agrees, we still have the possibility of cooperation. I hope you don't ask for too much. Don't embarrass me, and don't embarrass yourself. This is the tone of an ally. Belsingh knows that things are too much, and expressing his dissatisfaction is enough. If it goes on, the two sides will really be in a stalemate. This is not good for anyone, especially the newly rising Singh family, which cannot withstand any big storms. So he changed his lazy attitude, sat up straight, and took a cigarette from Axe's cigarette box, lit it, and got a roll of the eyes in return, then smiled and said, "Don't tell me you haven't investigated my background. How powerful our Singh family is, you Bista family know better than me. The investment of tens of millions of dollars has emptied the Singh family, and plastic pellets have to be transported from the port of Mumbai every month. And the plastic products produced have to be pulled out and sold, so heavy duty trucks are indispensable, but I don't have the money to buy them. Shouldn't you help our allies solve this problem? If it was someone else, it would definitely be very difficult to do, because there is not as much cash as buying a car, but it is very easy for the Bista family. The Bista family is Rajasthan. These political families have many important departments. They buy some heavy-duty trucks in the name of the government, and then transfer them to the town of Sinjar. In name, they still belong to the federal government, but in fact, the people who actually use these trucks are Belsing's plastic processing factory. This is called misappropriation of public property for private use, which is an open secret in the Indian officialdom. So Axe took on this task with a big laugh and assured Belsinger, "No problem at all. Just wait for my good news 50 Mitsubishi heavy trucks with a load capacity of 35 tons, all 80% new, will be transferred to you within a month." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.